Straight kids, baby. We ain't kids, baby. We get down like that. Slipping and falling. This time I got a nigga calling. But to the love I'm calling. Now I need to them tired of slipping and falling, slipping and falling. This time I got a nigga calling. But to the love I'm calling. Now I need to them tired of slipping and falling.
Community debate massive, we are back.
I thought more money would solve.
Just waiting for everyone to check in.
More money in Harlem and Frank Lucas did.
Come on, check in.
Now shit done changed. How I'm feeling, shit looks strange.
Hey.
I realize shit ain't changed. At the end of the day,
come on, let's face the point with the DMX.
I slipped and fell. Went to the hood, took a trip to hell. Deal when I should, swore my shit sell. Always know I could, so I did well.
Hey.
Slipping and falling. This time I got a nigga calling. But to the love I'm calling. Now I need to them tired of slipping and falling.
Hey, slipping and falling. Well, we're slipping and falling into Community Debate Thursday. We are back again, peeps. So we got quite a a steamy, heated show today. We're going to have a lot of big debates, and we've got the two big debate giants, I should say. We've got Nelson and Jean. As you can see, this week they've been going a little bit at each other, you know what I mean, having debates respectfully, debating against each other, and they wanted to square it off on Community Debate. So we have Nelson from Community Debate, and Jean is from Pro Black UK. So you guys, you wanted to speak about a few things. So if you guys want to kick it off, which one would you like? Who would like to start first of what you'd like to talk about? Because both of you had quite a few bits to say.
John.
Yes, bro.
John, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
You're a pro-black guy, yeah? You're pro-black?
Yeah.
All right, okay. You said I have much to learn in regards to what a pro-black is. And I think it's only fair, before I start asking you the questions that I really want to ask, I think it's only fair and it's only right that you explain regarding, you know, what pro-black is all about. What you meant by I have much to learn in regards to pro-blacks.
Well, what I'd say first of all is the reason why I mentioned about you having a lot to learn is because in your analysis and breakdown of what you thought, your interpretation of what pro-black means, you threw up things around pro-black people being racist, atheist, I think you said, and pagan. Those are some of the things you said.
Illogical. It was, yeah.
Illogical. I think you also kind of factored in, well, the word compromise. I think we're going to just talk about that later, but I don't think that was kind of factored into it, and how that word is used by pro-blacks to kind of tar people of mixed heritage. So I'm going to address all those things. So first of all, I think it's important to know that there's many definitions of what pro-black is to many people, especially with the online phenomenon of people being online. It's been bandied about a lot. I'll give you what I think pro-black means. Now, for me, pro-black is not. It should represent what you're doing and not what you're saying. So the clue is in the word pro, for black people, an advocate for black people in this context. So it relates to what you're doing more than what you're saying. So for me, it would reflect how you're actively out in the community, helping black people, advocating for black people, defending black people, supporting black people. It's not people that sit online who hate white people. It's not people that sit online who say they only date black people. In my opinion, those people are not pro-black. Yes, of course, if you are pro-black, you're going to have a preference in terms of your lifestyle choices. I'll put it that way. So yes, if you're pro-black, because of your ideology and your politics, you're more likely to date someone who is black. Doesn't mean that you hate mixed race people or you hate people that are interracial relationships, but you're not afraid to point out some of the underlying root reasons why people do enter into interracial relationships. So I think pro-black are kind of the black people that would a bit more fearless in how they talk about issues that affect the community. They don't whitewash things. They don't what I call play the white apologist. So we definitely won't minimize racism and discrimination. We will speak about that openly and discuss that openly without any kind of apologetic from an unapologetic way. So it comes across that pro-black people are always talking about race and racism, but it's really just about acknowledging and highlighting racism exists and it still exists and how it impacts black people. In terms of the compromise, and I've been using that word compromise for a long time. People that know me have heard me use it. And trust me, the people that I use it against were not mixed, they're black people. For me, a compromised black person is someone who, for whatever reason, for whatever lifestyle choice they've made, will not be completely honest about how racism impacts us as a people. So they'd be more likely to minimize, and that could be down to their lifestyle choices in terms of their partner.
So how would you determine someone who, like you said, how do you determine that someone isn't being as anti-racist as, for example, or as willing to go against racism as, let's say, someone like you? How would you determine that, and who determines that?
But it's a difficult thing to determine. I mean, one way, I guess, I mean, a lot of where we gauge people is from online at the moment, from Facebook, from how people respond on Twitter. So I guess it's just based on people's responses. So for example, Rachel brought up Candace Owens. Now for me, this is my opinion, someone who's pro-black wouldn't use her. I mean, I always say, a clock is right once or twice a day. Candace Owens is not saying anything pertains to the black community that other actual people who care about the community say. And that's my point. Why are we, if you are pro-black, you want to promote people who are for black people, who won't play the white apologists, who actually give a damn about the community. And we have people like that and they never get a voice. But people like Candace Owens, who clearly, and I've shown examples of her anti-black stance when it comes to how she views the black community and how she views the dominant white society. She clearly sees this hierarchy there, and she presents it all the time. Why are we promoting someone like that to speak up on the issues that pertain to the black community? She's doing that. She's doing that to appease and to.
We're gonna get, sorry to interrupt you, John. We're gonna get into the Candace Owens bit, but basically, do you think a mixed race person can be pro-black, or do you think there's a place in the pro-black movement for mixed race people?
Yes. I mean, I could give you examples. Huey P. Newton, I think, was mixed race. I mean, there's people that I can bring up, people in the Black Panther Party that were mixed heritage, who identified as black, Okay, I mean, I think that's a key part to it. We have mixed race people who identify as black, we have mixed race people who identify as mixed, and we have mixed race people who identify as white. Now,
so you don't believe? Sorry.
So a mixed race person that identifies as black are more likely to be pro-black. And I don't have any problem. I have, I've done community work with people who are mixed race who are considered to be pro-black.
Okay, and here's what I'm hearing. There isn't one single definition for pro-blacks, okay? And everyone seems to get to choose what they kind of want to make out of the term pro-black, okay? And I respect that you have your own definition and so on, okay? Now, I've seen a comment where you said that a mixed person, anyone that identifies as a mixed isn't black.
No. If you identify as mixed race,
Mm.
then no, you're not black.
If
You've
I
ident-
identify,
but
oh,
you
I
be-
see,
yeah,
I
if you
see,
because
I see.
we have to go with how people are identifying themselves. Now, for
Mm.
example, I'll put one of the most famous examples out there. In fact, there's two.
Mm.
If you look at say what you want, Barack Obama. Well, Barack Obama didn't identify as mixed.
Mm-hmm.
He identified as an African American. Okay, there are
Mm.
people, especially in the States, who are of a mixed heritage, but they identify as black.
Mm.
There are mixed people who identify as mixed. Now, I'm not here to say that a mixed person should identify as black, but if you identify as mixed, then
You're not black.
No. If you identify as mixed, then you are not identifying as black. Not you personally, but whoever does that. Whoever
Okay,
identifies as mixed is not identifying as black. They're identifying as mixed heritage or mixed race.
Okay, as a mixed human being is a
Right.
person who is, well, in my case, okay, my father was Italian and Portuguese, and my mother is Angolan, pure Angolan. Okay, that I honor both. Okay, and I'm a mixed race person. Yeah, race wise. Okay, now I was born in Africa, raised according to African values and Christian values. Are you saying because I acknowledge both that I am not black?
Yes.
Thank you
And
for
that's
your
not
honesty.
and that's not a slur. That's not me putting a slur. That's not slurring. That's literally just talking about biology, identity.
Mm-hmm.
Your
Explain
half.
that. Explain that for
Well,
me. Explain that for me.
well, half of your genetic makeup is European.
Of course, yes, yes.
Right. So based on that, how could we identify? Well, I understand why you identify as mixed, but there are some mixed people who, despite half of their biological makeup being white, will identify as black.
And those you call black people.
I go with what a mixed race person identifies with. That's how I
Okay,
identify.
so just because let me tell you something. I'm not here to get to, you know what I mean? We're not gonna so I just want you to clarify it so we both know where we both stand. That's basically it. And I
Yeah.
respect your opinion, and like I respect anyone else's opinion. So what you're saying is any mixed race person that acknowledges, okay, you know, the races from which they are born from, such as my white side and my black side, okay, he isn't black. But any mixed race person that says, okay, even though I'm genetically made of European and black, but I call myself black, then he becomes black in the way you see things.
I acknowledge that person identifies as black, and I'll deal with him accordingly.
Sorry, say that again.
I acknowledge the person identifies as black, and I would deal with him accordingly or her accordingly.
What do you mean by you deal with her accordingly?
Okay, so for example, if you have a mixed person who identifies as black, then in terms of how they reference the black community, in terms of how they identify with the struggle of the black community, then I'll acknowledge it, because they're pulling themselves in with the struggle. What I find, and the reason I do this is because I've come across mixed race people who will go with where least resistance. Sometimes they'll identify as black, sometimes they'll identify as mixed. I've seen a video where a mixed race person was being called the N-word or being called a black so-and-so, and they made a point of saying, I'm not black, I'm mixed. Okay, they made a point of saying it, and that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
But if you're making that, now a mixed race person who identified as black, wouldn't have said that. You see my point? They wouldn't have said. They would have said. They would have just, rebutted. But the person rebutted by saying, "I'm not black, I'm mixed." So I have to say, okay.
In my person, sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
In my personal experience, most mixed race that I've met, they identify themselves as black. But what I was trying to get at is, if that person acknowledges what I'm really trying to get at, what I'm driving to is, if that person acknowledged the European genetic side as a mixed race person, because a mixed race person cannot, biologically speaking, cannot say, oh, you know what, I'm not genetically, I don't know, European or whatever. Mixed race person cannot say that, okay? Because that's their biological reality, right? So what I'm trying to get at is, because a mixed race person who says, listen, I'm European and I'm black, okay? In your way of seeing things, okay, that person isn't black.
No, if they identify with their mixed European heritage, they're not black.
If they identify with the mixed, okay, all right, so they can't say they both. All right, is that then the reason why?
No, they can say, look, I don't judge people. People could, I don't have a problem with people who identify as mixed race. But if you go back to the example I've given of someone who was called a black so-and-so, I made a point of saying, I'm not black and I'm mixed. We have to acknowledge that some mixed race people will do that, and they have that way of thinking. They will distance themselves from black people when it becomes uncomfortable.
I'm not talking about.
Yeah,
I'm not talking. So what you say?
I have to, because I've witnessed that. I now have to start thinking, okay, because now I'm seeing that some mixed people will not identify as black when it becomes uncomfortable, or they will choose not to when there's an out. I have to then think, okay, well, if that person is making that choice, then as I spoke to you about dealing with people accordingly, I have to deal with you accordingly then.
Okay, to me that's funny, because I've been accused of promoting racism for example, talking about the Candace Owens things, right? I post a video about feminism and everyone focused on Candace Owens. Now, according to the people, according to pro-black people, okay, I'm promoting racism. So according to them, I'm I would say a happy bleaching sellout.
Who called you that?
There's actually a message of you calling someone
I wasn't
a
towards
bleaching
you.
sellout.
That wasn't
No,
you.
that wasn't towards me. But do you see what I'm getting at? So, for example, that's very subjective. To me,
Okay,
that means anyone. Wait, hold on.
so
Let me just finish this.
Okay.
Anyone, okay, anyone who basically doesn't disagree how a pro-black person feels or thinks or whatever, even in regards to Candace Owens, because I can many dark-skinned people agree with Candace Owens, for example, and follow her and their skin tone, and there's black, as you would say, completely black, genetically completely black, right? Are they happy bleaching sellouts too?
Right. So let me clarify the statement first of all. Now, that was directed at one person specifically. The reason why that was directed at someone specifically is because that person identified as mixed and was using Facebook to slander, demean, generalize black men. So for me as a black man, why would I allow someone who identifies as mixed, who obviously hates black men, to continue to slander, demean black men, and I'm not going to counter that? Because
okay, is that your opinion or is that a fact?
Which one? Which part of what?
Is that your opinion or is that a fact?
Which part though are you referring to?
You said this particular person, I think we know who we're talking about, both of us, right?
Yep.
This particular person, okay, identified themselves as mixed, okay, and was using the Facebook platform in order, okay, to slander black men.
Okay, I can. You want me to prove what? Let me see if that's a fact or not. Okay, so I will prove that's a fact.
Yep.
Let me prove that's a fact. Because in conversation with this individual, I politely highlighted the fact that she was putting across an argument that black men act a certain way. I countered by saying, yes, some black men may act this way. Obviously, within every group, you're going to get idiots and people that are going to act foolishly. So I politely highlighted, yes, some black men act this way, but it's not all of us. I thought that would be the end of the statement. I thought that would be that's not a controversial statement. The person continued to say, no, it's not some of you. It's all, if not most, if not all of you that behave that way. I said, no, that's not the fact. You have to acknowledge the fact that there's going to be some black men that don't behave this way. And then I went on to highlight that there's some black women that do similar things in terms of making derogatory comments about black men. I would never turn around and put that all on black women and say, well, all black women act a certain way. But that was her, that was her position. Her position was that most, if not all black men act this way. So when I see that, I can now, I could, logically deduce that this is someone that has an issue with black men, not just some black men, most, if not all black men, because she attributed negative behavior to us all. So
Okay.
that has to be factored in my rebuttal. The reason why it went to insults is because I was insulted first, by the way. I didn't just come up the blue and call this person a mixed bleaching. This was after.
Sell out. Yeah.
This is after she called me ashy, nappy-headed, which further highlighted the fact that she is someone who doesn't consider herself fully black. No one that is considered themselves fully black or is proud of being black will call another black person ashy and nappy-headed. Nobody would do that. But someone but someone who identifies as mixed would be more likely to say that about a black person. Hence why I rebutted in that way.
What was this person in question mixed with?
I didn't know. I looked briefly at her page and I saw mixed. I then looked at her profile picture, which I realize now is very lightened. So I assumed that she was of mixed heritage. I now come to realize that apparently she is of mixed Caribbean, which I find also interesting because very rarely do you see people from I have multiple. One of my parents are from Barbados, the other from French Guiana. I would identify myself as mixed heritage. It's not something Caribbean people do, but it is.
So what?
It's something.
So what was she mixed with?
I don't know. 2 islands, I'm assuming. Which I don't know
2
what
islands.
You have to ask her.
Okay. Did she have European? Her mixture. Does her mixture have European in it?
I don't know.
White European. Well,
I don't know. I don't know.
From what I know, it doesn't. Okay, so it's a black woman having an opinion about black men. So to me, the way I see it, regardless if she says mixed, because we've got people from the Caribbeans who have who go out with Africans and then they have babies and so on and blah blah blah. Okay, so what we have here is a black woman. Okay, maybe she called herself mixed in that aspect. Okay, so as a mixed person, in the sense of she's from the Caribbean, from maybe her parents are from another part of the Caribbean, the other one's from another part of the Caribbean, or from Africa. So to me, what I'm seeing is a black woman having an opinion about a black man and being called, was it bleaching sellout?
Okay. Now,
would you agree?
Hold on a second, but you're focusing on my rebuttal, and you're also not really factoring what I said in terms of from what I observed. Well, you're calling her a black woman as if I knew that and continued in my statement. That's not what happened.
Okay.
You have to understand, I assumed that she was mixed race for 2 reasons. One, that I saw mixed in her profile. Black people don't usually would have mixed in their profile. That's just what I see. I don't see it. 2, secondly, from her very lightened picture. Her very lightened picture. And then when you see mixed in the profile, and then you see someone that's going out of their way to demean and all black men, I factor everything in. I don't just make my statements based on one thing. I factor everything in. So those 3 things the fact that she had mixed in her profile, the fact that she had a very light profile picture, and the fact that she was out here publicly, I guess you use the word bashing all black men. I factored that all in because I know for some people, and I've come across this before, some people who are of mixed heritage, they have issues with their black side and they project that onto Facebook and onto other black people.
I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Do I have issues with my black side, John?
I don't know. I don't know you well enough, Nelson, to say that. So I'm not going to make that kind of a judgment. I don't know you well enough. I would have to spend time.
The thing is, I've been insulted by a couple of the pro-black guys.
I can't speak for them. I can't speak for them.
Of course, I understand that. I understand that. Do you think I deal with self-hate? Do you think I hate myself?
I don't know. I don't know you well enough, Nelson. I don't know you well enough.
Can I just ask a few people? Sorry, I just want to welcome Karen, just because she came in and she came a little bit late. So I just wanted to make sure everyone knew that she was here. And also we have Samuel, who's known as Heat Chaser. He's here from America. So I'm sure later on he'll pop himself up. What everybody's heard so far, what do you think of the debate so far? Do you agree with Nelson regarding mixed race people? As obviously he's born in Africa, you know what I mean? Obviously he speaks his tribe's language from Africa, you know what I mean? See, I'm Caribbean African. I class myself as African, as you know. I always call us United Nations of Africans. But obviously he's been born in the motherland, which I wish, you know, that would be fantastic for myself. I'd love to be born in the motherland. What do you think about what Jean says regarding mixed race identity? How do you see it? If I come to Andrea, what's your thoughts on all of this?
To be honest, after listening to all of this, it's all someone's personal opinion. Who says that's how it should be in pro-black or what pro-black is? I think if you identify as black, I understand what Jean's saying about that. You're gonna be sort of more empathetic to the cause of being pro-black, but then saying that, oh, if you identify with your European side or your white side, makes you less black. I don't think I can agree with that. Can't really say much on it because I think it's personal preference anyway. It's a personal opinion. Like nobody can tell you what you can be. That's my opinion on it.
Karen, since you're new and fresh flesh blood here, you caught a little bit of the tail end of it. What do you think about that?
Okay, thanks for the intro. Thanks, Rachel. Nice to meet you. Hi, everyone. For me, race is a very delicate, touchy subject. I think we all have to be extremely careful. We all have to realize that each race or demographic of people has been assigned by one set of people. And we have to realize as a people whether or not we want to accept that assignment. And that extends to the whole world. If anyone knows me, they know I talk a lot. I say, if you see a Chinese man here walking down the street anywhere in London, he will always be Chinese. If you look at it.
Sorry, can I just cut you 1 second? Whose television is on? I can hear it in the background.
Thank you.
Right,
so if you see a Chinese man anywhere in the world and he is here in London, let's just talk about London, for instance. If we see a Chinese man walking down the street, he will always be Chinese. If we see a Polish man, he will always be Polish. If we see a person from Sweden, they will always be identified as Swedish. Why do we, as African people, accept the label black? Black to me is a derogatory term. Black Sunday, black cab, black is very negative. So for me, I believe that anyone of color should identify as an African first and foremost, because black is a derogatory term and it has negative connotations. So we will always be African no matter where we are in the diaspora. In terms of race as well, this assignment that I'm talking about, you've got white, you've got yellow, you've got brown, then you've got black. And it's got that same level and connotation of negativity. And anyone who is a little bit black and has the option to choose a different side is not doing so because they don't love themselves. They're doing so because of the social norm and the consensus. So the only reason and the only way to break that is to stop using, stop agreeing with, stop identifying with the social consensus. And essentially, some people say there are aliens out here. I believe that to some degree there are, but essentially we're all human beings, and your color or your creed or where you're from should not make a difference in how you're treated in this world. My personal opinion on the whole issue is, if there wasn't such a weight accumulated to negativity on one side and a weight accumulated to positivity on the other side, we wouldn't have this issue in the first place. And essentially, we're all more similar than we are separate. So under no circumstances should anybody identify in that respect, because that is negativity. I don't know if that makes sense.
I hear that. I thought that was good. Go on, Michael, what did you want to say? Money bags, yeah. I like that. Money bags, what did you want to say? Mike, you're on silent. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, Kareem, thanks for putting that positive light on what you.
You sound really quiet, Mike. So we can't hear you.
Can you hear me
No.
now? I don't know what's wrong with my speaker. Can you hear me?
It's really.
No, you got to talk into the mic.
I am talking to the mic. Can you hear me?
It's really faint, but go on.
You're gonna have to eat the mic.
I'm gonna just shout for you guys to hear me. I just want to say, yeah, thanks, Kareen. Everything you said was so positive, and that, you know, I can't say anything else. I mean, there are people who would kind of try and section themselves because black sometimes can be a negative thing. So if you are mixed, sometimes you will play up to that privilege just so you can get on in life. You know, when you're someone of a darker skin, you don't have that, you know, that kudos to say, well, I can be a little bit mixed and get a little privilege. So as a dark skinned man, I'm just me all the way through. I can't jump on this side or jump on that side. I have to still fight for what I believe in and fight for my rights in this world. With what Jean was saying, I understand what he's saying about being pro-black, because sometimes being pro-black is about bringing your people up and everything else. But on the other side, it can be a negative as well, because then you're kind of casting the other skin tones as you're saying you're not pro-black. But to be honest, I think we're all one, as what Kareen was saying. We are all one, and we all need to look at each other as one. And like she said it eloquently. If you're of a skin color, you should just refer to yourself as African. But not everybody wants that label. I just go by the tone of brothers and sisters. We're all brothers and sisters, whatever color you are or not. And for race for me is something that's been used against us. Like, who's in a race? Who wants to get to the top? Who's at the top? Who's in the middle? Who's at the bottom? Now, we know as black people, we are the most strongest, the most intelligent, we can do everything. We can do everything that we put our minds to. But we're being told that we're not smart, we're not this, we're not that, you know, and we've been pushed down, and we continue to be pushed down because I think we don't connect with each other and we don't bring each other up as much as we should. And I think there lies the problem. So I just like to say, with everything that Kareen said, I agree with everything she said. I agree with some of the points that Nelson made, and also what Jean was saying as well. And you just got to take in what you think is your best opinion and try and live that life if it makes sense to you.
Agreed.
Sorry, Rachel.
All good points.
Here's my take on the situation, right? Here's what I've noticed when dealing with pro-black people, and when I say most of them, whenever you don't agree with them, you get called a sellout. Whenever you don't agree with them, your mixed race is brought up. I find all of that racist. I don't care how anyone puts it. It's basically, you agree with their opinion of what black is supposed to be, okay, or what I mean, someone like Candace, what her opinion is, okay, regardless of how true it is, and to them, you become a sellout. Okay. And they are quick to make these racist remarks and call you a person who apparently hates themselves. Okay. This is what I find with pro-blacks consistently all the time. Anytime I interact with pro-blacks, this is what I found. Apparently, I hate myself because I don't agree with some of the things that they agree with. All right. And to me, I find that extremely racist. That's my point on it.
Can I come in now? Is it all right, Rachel? Yeah. So first of all, in regards to what Karine said, I agree that ideally we shouldn't be using the word black. Ideally we shouldn't, but we can't ignore the fact that it's a colloquial term that we all use and it has meaning. So we can't really turn around and say we shouldn't use the word now, because that's gone past the point of no return on that. That's the term that we are using to identify ourselves, and that's not going to change. So I understand, ideally it doesn't do us well to use a color to identify ourselves, because as I used to say, there's no black on the map. So we can't point to black on the map and say that's where we come from. Yes, a Chinese person, if he's called him Chinese, he can point on the map and say, yeah, that's where I'm from. We can't do that as using the word black. But as I said, it is a colloquial term that we're using, so we can't just ignore the fact that that's the word that we're using. So we identify myself as pro-black is not a negative thing, because although I acknowledge the fact that black is not the best word to use to describe ourselves, it does have meaning. We've attached meaning to it. So, and also in relation to pro-blacks and calling people sellouts, etc. If you're going to get sellout behavior, and we have to know the fact there are some black people who are sellouts. There are some black people who are sellouts, and a pro-black person is more likely to highlight that than another black person. So yes, we are going to say to someone, yes, that person's a sellout. You may not agree with that, but are we saying that there's no sellouts in the black community? Because every other community acknowledges there's sellouts. The so-called Jewish community had sellouts, and they highlighted who their sellouts were. Even the white community in their politics will call a fellow white person a sellout. They may not use the correct language, but they have the same meaning. In every community, they acknowledge that there's sellouts in that community. A sellout is someone that will take on whoever the oppressor is talking points and use them to demean and to critique the black community, just how someone who isn't part of that community would do. And that's a sellout. They exist. So why are we saying we don't have sellouts in our community? Is that what we're saying? Are you saying that, Nelson, that there's no such thing as a sellout in the black community?
Here's what I'm saying. You can have a racist black person, right? And he doesn't like, hold on, wait. And this is how subjective and nonsensical it is, because you can have a racist black person who claims to support pro-black, and in your face he will tell you it's not racist, but guess what? He will still call you a bleaching sellout. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? It's too subjective.
That's an example.
Hold on a second. It's too subjective. It's too based on your opinion, like Andrea was saying. It's too based on people's opinions. There's nothing objective about it. So how this person determines, and this is how pro-black ruin relationships amongst the black communities, because it's all to do with that person. You don't know who that person is. You don't know the issues that the level of insecurity that person might be dealing with. You don't know any of that, and that person joins the black movement in the hope of getting some kind of like acceptance, and then guess what? They'll start using that platform to basically be racist towards other people. It's too subjective. It's not objective enough. Who gives a person in the pro-black community the right to call someone a sellout? What is a sellout exactly? Has it been defined? Do we have terms and conditions? Do we have something that says, okay, this is what a sellout is? This is a person that is a sellout according to the pro-black community. Where are the rules and regulations?
Okay, so what you're saying then is that other communities have license to call and identify sellouts within their own community, but we can't do that.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that my opinion, I posted a video about Candace Owens, for example, and it was to do with feminism, okay? I've been, because of that, racially attacked, called someone who hates himself, and a sellout. That is insanity. Okay, what she had to say had nothing to do, okay, with anything. It just had to do with feminism.
Can I interject?
Go ahead, Karen. Karen. Yes.
I'm going to say whatever anyone else thinks about you is none of your business, none of our business. If somebody thinks you are this, you are that, that's none of your business. They're entitled to their thoughts. They're entitled to think what they want to think, and whatever the hell they think is their business. Your space on this planet is to hold space for you. We have all individually come here to do our job. We all have a part to play. We all have a voice to express, and we all have a mission that we are on. If everybody stuck to their mission and didn't think about nobody else, we would all be happier. Another thing I sense within all communities is that there's always somebody who wants to be right. There's always somebody who wants to be the head. There's always somebody who wants to set the agenda. This is where we go wrong. If we have a collective goal and everybody does whatever they want to do towards that collective goal without thinking about anybody else and what anyone else thinks about them, we would all be happier.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what I was going to say, well, somebody's asked what is a sellout. Before I get to that, like I was, you know, I mean, technically, because of I technically supposedly supposed to promote Candace Owen. I've never promoted Candace Owen. My group, I would say, is a group for freedom of speech. Everybody has an opinion, and I always say that everybody has an opinion with their speech, right? With freedom of speech, and was it also debate respectfully. I don't discriminate on what people's ideologies are or what they think about. That's their opinion. A lot of things, what I see, what people say, some things I don't even agree with. But at the same time, was it everybody has a right to a voice. I don't have, like I said, I'm not God. I'm not God to tell you that you can't have an opinion and you're not valid and you're not valid because of these things. Those bits I don't do. As everybody knows who about my platform, I'm a very, very, open-minded person, and I accept everybody for who they are, right? And I'm not into getting into tussles. I want people to have their own views. It's just been very weird for me, as you all know, this week. I've never had any of these things happening, which you've seen what's been going on. To be labeled as somebody who is a wishy-washy person and promotes Candace Owen, which I don't. Listen, I will listen to what Candace Owen has said, or else I wouldn't know. If I don't listen to somebody that, you know what I mean, especially as you can call people the enemy then. If you want to call them the enemy, if you don't listen to the people who are against you, you'll never know how to understand and defeat them. So I need to understand what my enemy is. So I will listen to the stuff what she says, but at the same time, doesn't mean that I agree with the things that she says, right? Sometimes she does have some valid points, but as I say, I keep on saying, I'm not a Candace Owen fan whatsoever. And to be told that that's what I support, from people who are pro-Black, I find that really, really highly defensive when everything that I do, as you know, I've only had this platform for 10 months. And thankfully, I've got 800 and odd people on my platform in 10 months. I've done that because it's for Black people, And if people who are from pro-Black say mixed race people aren't Black, or I think they're Black, or whatever you want to identify yourself as, everybody who's brown, to me, has got brown complexion, wants to be and has their own word to say whatever you want to say, respectfully, this is the platform for you. And if I'm a sellout for letting people debate about what they want to be. What is, and I want to ask, what is a sellout? If I am the version of a sellout, what is a sellout? Can someone ask me? What, anybody Sean, actually, you can answer that.
Well, I can answer that. I don't know if you're a sellout or not. I never called you one. What I would say is this idea that the sellouts is some ambiguous term that doesn't mean anything. Has anyone ever heard of the Meritorious Manumissions Act? Anyone heard of that? No. But that was an act that during slavery, if a slave would go to his master and give information that led to any kind of repercussions for a fellow slave, they could potentially buy their freedom. That's a sellout. So this idea that sellouts don't exist in the Black community, have never existed, is ridiculous. We always have had sellouts in the Black community. In our community, and going back to Africa, we had sellouts there too. We had sellouts that sold their fellow Black people for trinkets and mirrors. Okay, so this idea that we don't have sellouts in our community is ridiculous. We do have sellouts. We've always had sellouts, and we always probably will have sellouts until we get some ownership and control of ourselves.
What's the sellout today in the modern day today? What's the sellout according to the pro-Black community? What's a sellout?
A sellout is someone that, first of all, minimizes the impact of racism and discrimination towards Black people. If you're out here saying racism doesn't exist, if you're out here saying police don't shoot, police are not killing Black people because they're racist, if you're out here saying systemic racism doesn't exist, that's usually a sign that someone is a sellout. Okay,
whoa, hold up.
You're gonna let me finish speaking first. There's gotta be some order. You can't just come and speak.
Finish. Go ahead.
All right. Okay, let's just talk with respect, because everyone has been talking, everyone has been pretty respectful up to this point. So that's just one example of who I would call as a sellout, someone that minimizes the impact of racism towards Black people. If you're taking talking points and regurgitating right-wing talking points, racist right-wing talking points that are used to demean, to stereotype the Black community, if you're taking those on and perpetuating them yourself, that's also a sign that you're a sellout, in my opinion. So those are just two examples. Another example would be someone, in my opinion, who only dates outside of their race. If you only date white women, you're a sellout. If you only date white, non-Black men or non-Black women, you're a sellout. So let's not pretend that we don't have sellouts in our community. Our community is rife with sellouts.
Sorry, can I ask one question? So before Samuel gets in, I want to ask Sean a question. Earlier on, I listened and he says that, mixed race people, unless they identify themselves, well, technically you don't see them as Black people. So if a person who's got two Black parents go out with someone who's one parent isn't of Black origin, does that mean that they're classed as a sellout then?
No, no, it doesn't mean that.
Just because I need to clarify that, just because I'm
trying to... No, and I could take it a step further. A black person that dates a white person is not necessarily a sellout either. A Black person that dates a white person is not necessarily a sellout. You have to listen very carefully to what I'm saying and my words. If you only date white people, you're a sellout. If your preference is a white male or white female, you're a sellout. Not every Black person that is dated, because we have people in our community that going way back who've had white partners who weren't sellouts.
So if you've got somebody who their preference, they like somebody who looks mixed race, right? Who's a Black mixed race woman, or a Black mixed race man, but that's their preference of what they like. You know what I mean? Because some women like, or some men, they like dark-skinned women. Some men and women like, chocolate, more chocolatey coloured. Some people, there's so much different shades of beautiful ebony. There's all different shades. Some people have a preference of what they like. So if somebody likes that preference of brown, who's somebody who's of mixed heritage, does that mean?
Just give me 1 second. I just need to do something. Just give me 1 second.
Yeah, what I wanted to ask everybody was, does that mean that that's classed as being, are you a sellout if that's the case? I don't know. Rest of the panel, what do you think about that?
Like you said, Rachel, it's a preference. Some people like chocolate, some people like milkshake. It all depends. All depends what you like. But at the end of the day, Pity Jean's gone somewhere. But
Oh, he's
I'm
back
back.
now.
I'm
He's
back.
back now.
okay,
Yeah.
I wanted to ask him if he's aware of Malcolm X, because Malcolm X started off really pro-black. He was really pro-black. He was about black people connecting, and he was all about that Black Panther movement. But then when he went to Mecca, when he saw all the different shades and everything, he realized that maybe his thought process, or maybe the way he thought everything wasn't quite right, and he saw everybody together as one. And when he came back, his message changed. Same with Martin Luther King. He was about, oh no, no, everybody's equal, blah blah. But after you get the stones dashed in your face after a while, towards the end, he went the opposite way. He went towards Malcolm X. Whereas Malcolm X was pro-black from the beginning, and in there, and he kind of was looking towards Martin Luther King. So I personally think they're both right in whatever journeys they went on, and they both came together in the end to make a big difference. And I think we've got a really good platform there to make that difference. I mean, all this, if you're mixed, you can't be black, because Caucasians see anyone who's mixed as 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 a brown person, or the word black. So I don't understand why we have to define them as anything different. And I get that. I get what you're saying about, yeah, maybe they might use that complexion to their privilege as a privilege. I get that, because I have come across certain mixed race people who know how to use that privilege when it's needed. But then when things go wrong, they want to say, well, I'm African, or I'm blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, I see anyone with color as a black person. And as for a sellout, for me, I hear what you're saying. A sellout is like, obviously someone is going to go to a police and say, oh, my man's da 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 da. I get that. And I I agree. There are certain sellouts within our community, like Tony Sewell saying that there's no racism and all that stuff. So I do agree. There is some of us, because they've got their nice houses and whatever, they don't really give a two hoots about us. So they will sell us out just to get their agenda so that they're comfortable. And I hear what you're saying, Jean, that we all need to come together as one. But at the end of the day, if we're gonna break the barriers and say, well, you're mixed race, so you can't be part of us, then I think the fight it's a bit lost. I think we're losing. We will lose.
Well, I'm not saying that. I wouldn't never say that. But in terms of what you said about Malcolm X, when he came back, he still denied whites to join his organization. So he was still pro-black till the end. Now, does that mean he hated whites? Probably not, because as you said, he did have a coming of he got more enlightened. At the end of the day, to hate a whole race is ignorant. So anyone that identifies as pro-black that says they hate white person, to me, is ignorant, because that's the same ignorance that. So I'm not one of those people that, as I said, for many people, being pro-black is being online saying you hate white people and you don't date white people. For many people, that's in their mind, oh, because I fit that character, oh, I'm pro-black. No, it's not. Pro-black is when I see you outside with me and other people, actually, for example, the Windrush situation. I was out there on the marches. We were out there advocating for black people. If I don't see you doing things like that, but I see you online saying I hate white people, and I would never date a white person. So, because that doesn't make you pro-black. Pro-black is what you do. It's advocate. It's about doing something. That's the main attribute for me of what pro-black's about. It's not about just talking. There's too much of that. We do too much of that already. It's what you're doing. It's actively doing something.
But you said, if a mixed race person acknowledges, okay, acknowledges their biological, white side, all right, so to speak, that they are not black because they've acknowledged that.
But they by acknowledging that, I don't understand the argument, because by acknowledging it, And I'm not saying it's wrong or right to do it, but when you acknowledge that you're half white, if you're acknowledging that you're half something else, how can you then identify as full something else? I mean, it's not an insult. And as
No,
I
no.
said,
So if the person
and-
doesn't
and-
acknowledge it, sorry.
and as I said to you before, let's use Meghan Markle for an example. Meghan Markle, when asked what she identifies, she said that she's grey. This is her wording. I'm grey.
I don't care what Meghan.
But I'm giving an
Markle says.
example. I'm giving an example of mixed people who won't identify as black. So if you're not going to identify as black, if you're going to identify as
No,
grey,
no, no.
I'm not going. Why am I going to now turn around and say, "Oh, that's a black person," when you don't identify as black?
Yeah, I identify as a human being, but the thing is, because I'm biologically speaking, I'm made of racially speaking, I'm made of black and I'm made of white. You're saying to mixed race people to acknowledge your mixed race side biologically, to acknowledge it biologically. I'm not talking about acknowledging it politically. I'm not, none of that. I'm not talking about a mixed race person who favors white people. I still have to meet one. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about acknowledging a mixed race person, acknowledging that they are biologically white. You're saying to me right now that that person is not black.
But you just said it by saying that you identify as a human being. When we spoke about identifying as black, you then turned around and said, "Well, you identify as a human being," which
Because
means that
I
you
am
don't.
a human being.
When you don't, that means you wouldn't identify as black.
I'm black and I'm white.
Do you identify as black? Okay. Do you identify as black? Yes or no? We could clear this up very easily right now.
Yes.
You identify as black.
Yes.
Okay, but you identified as a human being.
Right, can I say one thing quick? I'm just going to cut in.
I would identify as black first.
Right, can I just
That's
cut
the
in
difference.
slightly, right? Okay, so I'm going to go to Samuel in a minute, but what I hear is, okay, if you, somebody just asked on the group just now, Jean, have you been to Africa? They've asked.
No, I'm not sure why that question even comes up.
I'm just saying, this is what the commenters have asked. They've just asked if you've been to Africa. Second thing I wanted to say was that in Africa, which I haven't been to as yet, but I can only go by what Nelson has told me because he's from Africa. He's never seen anybody identify him other than being black in Africa, right? So he's never seen any of this kind of divide until he's come to Western countries. So when he went to Portugal, that's when he suffered racism because they said he's a black man. When he's come to England now, what's happened is he's suffered colorism where people have told him that he's not this or he's not that and not the other. But living in Africa, you know, which is all of our motherlands here, where, to be honest with you, Jean, technically, you know, I mean, he's an African man, born and bred an African man. He can speak a native tongue, which half of us on this panel can't actually speak a native tongue.
So could Charlie Thurston.
I know, but I'm just saying, hold on, let me finish. But I'm saying that, you're telling an African man who's never in his own country ever been identified nothing other than a black man, you're telling him that, you know, technically, he's not technically full there. When in Africa, they don't see it that way. I'm just saying that's from his country. You know, we're not born in Africa, but we are of African heritage.
But
So
I don't know why that is relevant, to be honest, because there's white people that are born in Africa. So I mean, I'm not sure why
No, but
that's.
I didn't say that. I know that there's white people born in Africa. There's white people born in Jamaica. You know, I'm Jamaican. You see white people born everywhere, just like you see Chinese, black, everything of all different nations born in different countries. What I was saying was, in Africa, where you haven't been to, where he's from, where his tribe is, because he lived with his tribe, where his tribe is in his native tongue, nobody saw him other than being a black man. But over here, for us who we haven't even been to Africa.
Well, I mean, I question that, to be honest. I'm sorry. I mean, let's just we could be real. You know, we could be real. I'll tell you what.
Question a man who's from. I can't.
Okay, but I'll explain why. Because no disrespect. No disrespect to. I can't explain it. No disrespect to Nelson. And first of all, I don't have a problem with Nelson identifying as black. If he identifies as black, I would treat him accordingly, as I said. He identifies as black. I don't have a problem with that. But let's not pretend that Nelson's phenotype represents where he's from, because it doesn't. So Nelson would have stood out from his direct demographic. He would have stood out because he's mixed. with white.
How would you do that if you've never been to Africa?
What?
Really?
I swear.
Is that what
I
kind of, I
can't
mean,
do this.
I've never been to Ireland, but I know most people in Ireland are white. I mean, come on.
Well,
now.
somebody who is from Africa just said, Michael Oni, who is same complexion as I say, is Michael, who both parents are black, has just said we don't refer to each other as black in Africa.
What does that have to do with the argument?
But I'm just saying that that's what he's saying. So
Yeah, I get it, and they have the privilege not to be able to do it because they don't have to differentiate themselves from
yeah,
other people.
but that's what I'm saying. It's Western culture that's actually what I'm trying to explain is that it's over here in Western culture where we've done this divide to ourselves. In Africa, they don't see this same kind of problem. Everyone's just an African. But over here, it's like, no, you're this, no, you're that, no, you're the other. They set the cat amongst the pigeons. And as I keep on saying, Willie Lynch, I'll put it up in the group. Willie Lynch laughs at us, laughs. Look at this, it's pathetic. The whole thing is pathetic. Do you know what I mean? I was told that because I had a visor on my face that I was frightened to get brown. When goodness me, I love a tan. I like to get dark. Everyone knows I can't keep out of the sun. I'm a sun baby. My house is baking hot. I love the heat. I'm just a person that loves heat. I don't see why me putting a sun visor on my face on Missy Beach in Trinidad. I was in Trinidad. Because I love carnival. I was in Trinidad and I was told that because I have a visor on my face, that means I'm trying to hide from the sun. I didn't realize that the visor was covering my whole body. I've never suffered that before in my life. My complexion, being told I'm hiding from the sun.
In the Caribbean, if you look at the history of the Caribbean, especially post-slavery, there were mixed race community. There were mixed race community that sprouted out in the Caribbean, who would separate themselves from the rest of the black indigenous population. Now, this is facts. What I'm talking facts. All that also happened in parts of Africa too. They separated themselves from the rest because they had more privilege because they were closer to whites. They separated themselves from the other black people. That's why if you look now, in the Caribbean, a lot of the presidents and people in political power tend to have a lighter complexion because their lineage goes back to what they call the mulatto class. Okay, we have such a thing as a mulatto class. So the idea that we were kind of all in this thing together, it's historically not really true.
I said that.
She never said that.
I didn't say anything.
No, I'm not saying that she said that. I'm just giving you perspective
on. I was on. This didn't happen in Trinidad, meaning by that I was told anything in Trinidad about my complexion. I'm just saying that I've got a picture. Everyone can see it of my profile, which has gone circulated, right? But actually, on a post, I was told, you know what I mean, which I saw, was it that because I've got a sun visor on, that I'm trying to hide from the sun. I'm trying not to get brown. Like, do you know what I mean? I've never. And as
I said to you, Rachel, there's trolls all over Facebook. You just block them.
That was in your group. I couldn't block them.
That's just racism. Period.
Well, it's not racism.
To me,
it's not racism.
Sorry, John. To me, a lot of what I've heard from the pro-black side is just nothing but racist rhetoric. That's really all it is. It's racist language, and that's it. And it's aimed at mixed race people. It's aimed at. I just want to know what is the purpose of all of this. To be honest with you, what is it?
Well, for
what's
me
the
personally,
end goal? What's the end goal for a black person that lives in the Western world? Okay. That is not thinking of ever going back to Africa or not thinking of ever settling back in Africa. What's the goal for a black person in the Western world? Okay, where it's where whites dominate. Okay, if he's not thinking of ever going back to Africa or settling back in Africa, what's the goal?
I can only speak for myself, and my goal is to settle back to have citizenship or residency in an African country and in a Caribbean country. That's my personal goal. I can't speak for other people.
And that's another thing that I disagree with the whole pro-black movement. Every single person that you speak to, okay, because there isn't something that they all agree on. The whole thing is basically it's rigged because everyone has their own point of view or their own perception of about what pro-black is or isn't. So whenever you speak to someone, that person will always say, well, to me, well, according to me, or what I think. And then you talk to another person, well, according to me, well, that's him, innit? I don't really agree. To me, pro-black is this and pro-black is that. I'm sorry, that it just
I
it
agree with
doesn't
you,
cut
Nelson,
it
on
for
that.
me.
That's a point that I will
Um,
agree with you on. I will agree with you on that
yeah,
point.
yeah. Do me one favor. Yeah, well, not. I'm not attacking you. I'm saying, tell the pro-black community, okay, say here's the, these are the things that we believe in. This is where we stand. Okay, and then create hierarchy and basically say this is where we stand. This is what we agree on. These are the rules and regulations, and then everyone can actually have a serious conversation with a pro-black person. They can't hold a pro-black person accountable. To me, all I see is a group that can't be held accountable for nothing because they can always deflect. Sounds convenient to me.
I mean, I'm not going to. Some of what you're saying is I also have that battle too, because as I said, I come across people who call themselves pro-black, but you're only talking rubbish online. Whenever there's a serious issue comes up in real life, they're nowhere to be found. But yet they call themselves pro-black online. So I have those same discussions, and I have those same issues with people that claim to be pro-black, but when it comes down to real life, I don't see you out here doing anything. I don't see you mentoring black kids. I don't see you doing anything that would suggest to me you are pro-black. I do those things.
I'll tell you the truth. Racism isn't going to end in the Western culture because it's dominated by white people. Racism isn't going to end. So if we were to look at the only solution that's left for black people here in the West is to go back to the motherland. Here's what I believe: most black people ain't ready for that, and ready to go to a black country and actually face up the real problems that we face over there with our governments and so on. Most black people here in the West wouldn't want that drama. They wouldn't want that smoke. Trust me.
I agree.
I was going to say, Samuel, you wanted to say something earlier on? Sorry, it's taken so long for us to get to you. What was it you wanted to say regarding all of this, what you've been listening to so far?
Whoa. Well, first of all, according to Jean, I'm a sellout. Because I will tell you, I'm from America. Listen, first of all, there is no such thing as systemic racism over here. Yes, we got racist people, but there is no such thing as systemic racism. And over here, we got a lot of black people who made it trying to tell other black people that there's such thing as systemic racism. If it was, you wouldn't be where you was at. That's the first thing. Second thing, yes, no, black people are not getting slaughtered over here by cops. That's a fallacy. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. Okay, we could go back and look at the numbers. The numbers don't lie. Just because they want to highlight certain cases, you feeling me, and make you feel a way, they're trying to control your emotions. And black people nowadays, they're not using logic. They come in with their emotions, and that black people need to really stop with that. Go back to the numbers. And yes, we over here, we are conservatives. There are many of us. There are millions of us over here, black conservatives. And we gonna tell you, get off of this racism vibe. Slavery ended 160 something years ago. We need to stop blaming the white man for fucked up decisions that black people make themselves, okay? You gotta stop blaming the white man for that. We gotta stop blaming the white man for that, okay? These are black people that's making stupid decisions, okay? Look, for instance, look at places like Chicago. We got 13 and 14-year-old assassins out there, black assassins that got bodies. I'm talking about 7, 8 bodies. You feeling me? Like, you can't blame the white man for that. They grew up in a black neighborhood amongst black people. How you gonna blame the white man for that? We need to stop that, and we need to get real with certain things here. You feeling me? And yeah, I will call black people out for doing dumb-ish. You feeling me? I'm not, nah, man. Look, okay. And that's another thing. A lot of these so-called black people are actually the true racists. They have what we call, they suffer from the racism of low expectations. You feeling me? You complain about the white man, but then it's like you begging the white man to do things for you. Nah, stand on your own. Stand on your own. Stop blaming the white man. You know what I'm saying? Pull up your bootstraps and do what you need to do. That's all I had to say. Thank you.
Okay, has anyone got anything to say about that?
Exhibit A.
As you know, I give everybody freedom of speech, even if I agree or not. But does anybody have anything to say about that?
I think to an extent, to an extent, I kind of agree with the fact that, you know, everyone needs to take their own stance on it and make sure you're living your best life as best you can. Like, don't, in a way, I kind of agree a little bit with Samuel, don't sit back and be like, look, the world's against me, I can't do anything because it's the white man's world. You got to take some steps. Yeah, it is a white man's world, but that doesn't stop you from taking steps and educating yourself so that you can make better choices, better decisions. I disagree that for me there is systemic racism. I mean, I'm happy to listen to your opinion, but you know, we live different lives, we have different experiences. As for I believe I agree with what Jean said earlier. Being like, in terms of being pro-black is something that you do, and you know, you should be about it, but I also acknowledge the fact that not everyone can be out there, you know, fighting and waving pickets, you know, like it can't all be that way. But, you know, I definitely think it's not something that can be voiced. It's something that you got to do. And if you're not living right, then you're not really pro, you know, you're not really pro-black. You got to take some of them steps yourself.
Anyone else got anything to say about that?
Yeah, actually, I do, because the thing is, I think the fight, or the fight of the black person against racism in the West is more of a moral battle rather than anything else. Because what are we hoping to accomplish is the issue that I was raising earlier. If we are saying that, okay, what we hope to accomplish is this utopia, this belief that, or this situation where the white men will somehow stop being racist towards us, or somehow treat us, you know, to me that's a fantasy. That's just a fantasy that we like to indulge in a little bit too much, okay? Because it ain't gonna stop. So if black people here are looking for you know, they want this to stop, we really have to move out. We really have to go back to Africa. And this is the real reality, because here you're not going to accomplish anything. I mean, let me tell you something. Everything, or even the white person just sitting back and listening to you, or listening to people complain about racism, that's their choice. That's just the choice they're making to do that. They don't have to. And what if they turn around and said, no, we're not going to listen to it? What are you going to do then? Fight? And what I'm saying to you is this. That's why I said it's more of a moral issue for us here in the West. But the real issue is, if we want this racism or these racist complaints, because we have to move to Africa, because I don't hear black people in China complaining. I don't hear black people in the Arabic world complaining. I don't hear black people in Russia complaining.
Bro, black people in China, when they're getting kicked out, come on, man.
Yeah, China,
like, they were getting beat up out there. Let's not use China.
They're getting brutalized out there. Yeah, but the thing is, if we're to compare their fight, okay, compared to our fight, we get you can't even compare. It's not on the same scale, mate. We are getting brutalized out there. They're not complaining like we're complaining out here. But what I'm saying is, if it's ever going to end, there's only one way.
But then one thing I was saying as well, when it comes to brutalization, is everybody's got different versions of brutalization, and everybody knows sometimes people, you know, I mean, you could be in a relationship with someone who slaps you about the place and punches you up, right? And just because you see it on the physical, people automatically presume that that's the worst scenario, right? That's the worst thing that could ever happen. But when somebody actually screws with your head and your mental space, that is actually the same kind of equivalent, because once your mind is not there, your body form can't even function either. So the only bit that I will disagree about when you do bring up those things, Nelson, is that you talk about other people's fight and you diminish our fight. And as you know, I did a whole show, was it dedicated to my son's uncle, was it, as you know, at 15 years old, Roland Adam was killed in a racist attack, and you saw my son's uncle come on here, who both of them ran, and his brother got murdered, and he described everything. As you know, that's up on YouTube. Was it now? You could not, if I put him on the page now, on Zoom now, and if you told him that our plight is different and we got nothing to complain about, he would be very much offended. And I know he would have a lot to say regarding that. I might even have to mute, because he's still struggling from the trauma of where the police, as you know, have victimized the whole of our family for that, what's happened to him.
Yeah, but Rachel,
no, I'm just saying,
Rachel,
let me finish. And same thing, what they've done is they've used all that negative energy, and they're helping, especially young women in the Caribbean who are going through bad situations and so on, abuse and so on. They're helping them in Jamaica, mother and baby units and so on. They're doing that. But please, Nelson, I know I'm not trying to get at you, because you know, I respect you, but when it comes to different countries, everybody has their own fight. Just like somebody who is of mixed heritage, they're Black people, they still have a different fight, and we have to understand that they're going through it, not to be saying, oh, they got privilege. No, you know what I mean? Everyone's got their own demon that hurts them and what upsets them, and we have to respect everybody's one. That's all I've got to say.
Rachel, I never said that one fight is worse than the other. I never said. I was talking about that. This is more of a moral issue for us. Remember, hold on. Remember, I went. Okay, I remember I went through that racism. So if it sounds as if I'm trying to trivialize the experiences that we have here, which I am not at all, and I would never do that, because that is just wrong. And remember, I was a part of that as well. I went through that. So in that case, I'm trivializing my own situation as well, my own experience here in the West. No. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, what is our solution here? Because this is why I said it's more of a moral issue here, because I understand that the white man is never going to listen to us. I understand that this type of thing is based on whether or not they want to entertain us or not. That's what I'm trying to say. So what is finally our solution? So for us, it's more of a moral issue when we complain about racism. It's more of, oh my...
I'm going to
you see where I'm coming from?
I'm going to answer that. What you wanted to say something, Karen? Did you want to answer, Nelson?
I wanted to say that racism is bigger than our community back and forth. Racism is a social economic problem. Now, racism of Africa especially, and African people, is deeper than any community debate we could have, because it is about infrastructure, it's about economy, it's about world standing, and it's about where we stand economically on this planet. Everyone of African heritage and origin will face racism until Africa is emancipated and has its respect as a continent. So everybody of African heritage is responsible for racism, because we will always be subjugated unless our economics and our powerhouse socially is taken into hand. And the more disenfranchised we are out here arguing over stupidness is going to affect how we are seen in the whole world. Because as many of us who do not identify with being African, we are seen by every other demographic as African, and we are interacted with as Black. And at that same time, they are economically taking heritage, bits, everything. So race is very delicate for me, because it's more than this debate between us and what we're going through. It's about social, political, economic power.
I actually agree with you, Karen. I completely agree with you. It's so much more deeper. But the thing is to me, until Africa has its own a military force that can and I speak in this language because of what I went through. Until Africa has its own military power that can protect itself, can protect itself against foreign invasion. We can't you know, racism will always be, you know, this is where I understand where you're coming from, you know. So to me, I advocate for Africa having military power strong enough to protect itself from foreign invasion. To me, that's what really will stop it. Until that's established, until it becomes a reality, we need to start figuring out what we actually saying here and what matters or what's more important. Because believe you me, they don't care. they'll keep exploiting, taking. And that's just the way it goes. And let me tell you something, with our help, because government powers in Africa, a lot of them, they help them exploit our situation as well. So, but the thing is, maybe out of fear, maybe because they puppets and so on. But the thing is, until military force is established in Africa that can protect itself against foreign invasion, they will always regard themselves as superior than us, and they will always exploit us and take over. And racism will be perpetuated through because of those consequences. That's it.
That's correct. George Floyd, if George Floyd was murdered in America the other day, yeah, if an African head or an African sovereignty said, but wait, that's my son, that's our people. If something happens to a British citizen anywhere else on the planet, the British consulate is going to fight for that person. Now, George Floyd, as a displaced African, was murdered horrifically on that land, but there was nobody in Africa to say, hang on, you need to be held responsible for that life that's been taken. And if that was a consequence for many of the continents on the planet, maybe we wouldn't be subjugated the way we are in some places. Look at the atrocities in Brazil. Look at the atrocities in India. Our leaders need to stand firm and say, look, it's A, B, and C. At the end of the day, we're the breadbasket of the world. Everything that Belgium, Italy, France, England, everything in this space here needs Africa. Africa don't need this space.
100%. We need to get everything in order. I was talking to the lady that does my hair, and she's from Nigeria, and she told me that, you know, the things that happen in Nigeria where, you know, she says that the governments or help or was it or turn a blind eye, allegedly, so I'm not going to say that that's what, so because I don't know, but allegedly that a lot of the trafficking, what goes to the Arabs, they promise the young girls that they're going to get, you know, work and so on and education, this, that, the other, and they traffic these young women, and you know, they take their passports and everything and use them as slaves and whatnot, and prostitution. She's seen some horrific videos where they get a lighter and, you know, put it to the woman's private parts while she's tied up. Now, we also need to sort out all the other countries that are, you know, raping, you know, I mean, Africa of all of its, natural, my brain, whatever, I'm exhausted it, right? But anyway, they also need to sort out, not just the resources, but we also need to sort out the atrocities what are going on to young women, you know, because of that's unacceptable, and young men, because I'm not going to single that out, because you know me, I'm on both sides. So the resources, we're already giving that away. When it comes to the way we treat each other, even in our own countries, we don't respect each other. So if we don't respect each other and we haven't got any kind of unity, how are we going to then ask for respect from anybody else if we don't even respect ourselves? And it's the same as what community that we're in at the moment. Sorry, Sean, I'll come to you as well. We're not respecting ourselves. You know, you'll have silly squabbles, silly arguments over silly things, which are pointless. All that energy that we need to have, we need to put it somewhere else. You know what I mean? We need to put this energy into trying to move forward. And as someone put on the post, why don't people have the same energy in positive posts that they have in the negative ones? I brought that up a few times. You know, I want to say thank you to all the people that came and did the Zoom with me on Sunday to work out how we're going to help the children to build relationships and so on, because remember, we have to start with the seeds of the earth first, the seeds of the children, and help them to grow so it makes a better community when they're coming up. I want to say thank you for that, for the people that did reach out. So, you know, I mean, people need to take notice and try to do something about it. I definitely am trying to do something about it. You have to ask yourself, what are you trying to do? Jean, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, first of all, I find that sometimes when people have an issue with what people are saying, they'll go for the, oh, what are they doing? Similar to the statement you said about this energy could be positive. Now, it gives the impression that because I may or other people may have strong opinions or on a specific post talking, that's the sum total of what they do in their whole lives. And I find that sometimes a bit of a deflection. Just because you may see someone arguing or debating strongly on a post, just because you disagree, doesn't mean that you have the right to then turn around and say, oh, what are you doing? Because if you agreed with the person, you wouldn't ask them the same question. So I find that sometimes a bit of a deflection. I can speak for myself. I know what I do in real life and what I do online, and they correlate. Okay. The second, okay, go ahead, sorry.
Because I was going to say, no, what I was saying is like, okay, I'll put up a post the other day. I put up a post to say, who wants to, anyone in the community, do you want to come and help? Because I can't do it by myself. You know, certain skills I don't have and certain skills I do have. I'm good at marketing, you know, I mean, money, finance, all of that. I'm brilliant at that. But certain other things I might not be as good at, right? So I said, as a community, everybody's got a skill, even if it's a conversation or an idea, but they don't know how to put it to paper. It's an idea that person could be good at making ideas, but then somebody else might be able to be good at structure. I sent it out there and, you know, I mean, I did get responses back. I was really happy. It took a bit of time. I did get responses back, and it's actually the best response that I've actually had so far in the group. What I'm saying is not about, I'm not talking about keyboards, debaters or whatever. What I'm trying to say is that some posts like that, do you know what I mean, where you know, I mean, we don't ask for much, you know, I mean, just one tiny little thing. Even the post that you put up about the, donating for St. Vincent, it's not advertised, you know, you don't have any of this on TV. No one really cares too much. You know, I mean, as a community, we need to care about the, you know, I mean, our United Nations of Africans spread out all over, not just in African continent, but all over in the Caribbean. So the first thing I did, because of the reason why I posted that I did that is because I wanted to encourage other people to do that. And same thing, the post didn't get that much momentum. When if your parents or if you was living on that island where a volcano was going to erupt, would you want help from everybody else? Yes, you would. So just because we are not in that direct problem or issue at that time, we cannot distance ourselves from it. We also have to help, even if it's £1. You know, I mean, I think I put 10 quid or 20 quid, I can't remember, but 10 or 20 quid, that still adds to a pot to help somebody. And that's all I'm saying, is that sometimes we need to, not just look and say, oh, somebody else will help. We need to, as a collective, just try just a little bit. And with, you know, you'll never know, if you just try a little bit, how much that can do.
My other point was that I believe, I mean, we're talking about this issues with Africa, with some of the issues that Black people face. More people would turn to economics as the answer. For me, before you get into economics and politics, Black people are not on code. For us to be galvanized where we're actually going to try and do something, there has to be a level of on code behavior where we have something. When you have Black people saying racism doesn't exist and putting the emphasis on us for our issue, all of the blame on us for some of the issues we're dealing with, that person, to me, generally speaking, is less likely to be invested in trying to solve the problem.
Sure.
If I'm saying to someone, hey, the police are racist, we need to do something, we need to galvanize, we need to address that. And you have another Black person on this side telling me, but hold on, systemic racism doesn't exist. Look at you guys killing each other in Chicago. That person, I'm not going to turn to that person for any help. That's not a Black person. That's not a Black person I can rely on.
Tell you out down the line.
Sorry, John, you're misrepresenting his argument. If there is a case of racism, believe me, I'm with you 100% and I'm condemning it and I want justice for it. Okay, there's a difference between saying that and acting as if everything for example, there's a difference between saying that and acting as if there is no laws that we can use in this country in order to fight for racism. These laws is what gives us the voice to carry on fighting against racism. I'm behind any racist as a person that's been through racism. I don't tolerate racism at all, and I'll be behind anyone who's fighting against racism. Please, there's a difference between saying that and saying that we don't have laws. So, for example, if I'm a black person in the Arabic world right now, you tell me what laws is there for black men to actually fight racism in that situation. What I'm trying to say is we have laws here, regardless of how hard they make our fight, or they turn our fight, regardless of how unjust they can be, we can still fight because of these laws. We can still fight. We still have a voice. We still can do that. But let's not conflate both. What we're saying here. So acts of racism, I doubt that there is a single black person in here that will turn around and say, hey, hold on a second. There is no systemic racism when we've blatantly seen an act of racism happening over there. That's crazy.
We just had a brother say it just not 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, but he didn't say it the way you're saying it. He said it. He basically said there are racist. No, he said there are racist people. Racism isn't going to go away. It will exist for the entire humanity. It's a human thing. It won't go away.
No, so respect, that's what you're saying. But I think the whole panel heard the brother say there's no such thing as systemic racism in America. That's what he said.
Let Francis come on and explain himself. Go ahead, bro.
Yes, exactly. No, there is no systemic racism here. And if you listen, you over there, you need to explain that because I live here. You feeling me? I could tell you look, I'm what? Well, how old am I now? What, 44 years old. Check this. There's only been 2 times any white person ever says some racist or did something racist to me that I can tell you about. Now, I'm not going to blame all these white people out here for that. That's just stupid. There is no systemic racism. But my bad. Hold on. Let me correct myself. There is systemic racism out here. And that comes from the liberal commies out here that have the racism of low expectations for black people, that think they gotta save black people, okay? Damn right, I'm a conservative / Republican. And if you know our history, you know Abraham Lincoln was the first Republican president, the first black people in the United States government. They were all Republican conservatives, okay? So before you speak on my country, I think you need to do the research and study what you need to study. Now, again, don't get it twisted. If a pig kills somebody, murders somebody, that's a whole different story than every time a cop kills a black person, you want to holler racism. For instance, 2-3 days ago, the black dude got shot by the white cop. It was an honest mistake. Now, how we gonna blame her?
Too many honest mistakes.
I don't believe it was an honest mistake.
Hold on, let me finish.
Stupid. She's the
You sound like Jesse Peterson.
Everyone, chill.
Let me finish.
Okay.
All right. Now,
Type.
that was an honest mistake. Now, hey, look, she quit. She's a 26-year veteran. You think she ain't messed up right now? She didn't mean to shoot. She didn't mean to shoot him, to kill him. She meant to tase his ass. But hold on. All right, it was an honest mistake on her part. But what wasn't a mistake was what he did. Listen, why are you dumb enough to drive with no tags and you know you got a warrant out for your arrest? 1 second, please. Hold on 1 second.
Listen. Can I say something? Yeah.
Right.
I haven't said anything much since I've been listening to everybody be saying what they're saying here, but I see quite a few things in the States where a police officer pull over a white guy came out and started smacking him with sticks, all sort of stuff, and his police say, "Please, sir, can you please put that down, sir? Sir, can you please put that down, sir?" Now, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? And sometimes they do a crazy car chase. But I don't understand how she still make that mistake. Why did she just shoot him in the leg? I don't understand. Why do you have to go? You know what I mean? Why do you have to shoot him the way they do?
I don't believe she made a mistake.
I don't think she make a mistake because at the end of the day, yeah, it's like you got to unclip the gun. You got to, you know what I mean? You know what you got is bright yellow, big things in front of your point. You know what I mean? At least you could have given him a couple gun butt or something, try and slow him down. But still, at the same time, I see a lot of video where people of that color seem to get away with murder, and they don't get shot. They don't get shot. Look at the guy who shoot up the school. He didn't get shot when he came out.
He come out alive and smiling.
He came out alive. And guess what? They stopped.
Hold on.
I heard
when
you
they
talk
come out, they've had a bad day.
I heard you talk.
His alarm went late.
Hold on.
Got into
Give me a
work half
second,
an hour late.
Give me a minute, yeah. I watched them go to McDonald's and buy a meal before we go to court.
Yes.
Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying nothing more. There's other things which I've been seeing. You know what I mean? I don't know what part of America you live in, but wherever you live in, you must be missing some time zone or time frame there, because me personally, what you're saying to me, I totally sometimes don't agree, but everyone to their own opinion. So I'm not here to disrespect anyone, but still, I don't agree what you're saying about that police officer, unfortunately. I don't agree. So you can say anything you want to say now. I can mute myself now. Say what you need to say, my friend.
Well, Samuel, I'm waiting.
Again, first of all, some of the things you just said is unrealistic. First of all, you got to know how people are trained. And they're not trained to shoot nobody in the leg or anything. If you look at the video, first of all of these cases need to be taken on a case-by-case basis. If you looked at the video, you know exactly what she thought she was doing. She yelled it 3 times. She's about to tase him. Like, I'm about to tase you. She said that 3 times, loud and clear. You hear it on the video. He's struggling. She went to go tase him. Bam, she pulled out the wrong thing. Damn it. She was fucked up. She did not mean to shoot the dude. She meant to tase him. Now, we all seen and heard that. Now, I don't care about none of y'all black feelings right now, because the facts is the facts.
Listen, you have a safety on your gun.
Wait, hold on. No, not all guns. First of all, most cops over here use Glocks, and Glocks don't have no safety. The safety is on the trigger. If you know about Glocks, you know the safety is on the trigger itself. There is no flip on the side like a Beretta or Colt 9. It's nothing like that. Okay. Next thing is, it's all what people who want to control your feelings want to show you. You can go on YouTube and see white people getting shot by cops as well. See, but they don't highlight these stories. For instance, I seen the white dude. These cops, they done dealt with this dude before. He's in Albuquerque, New Mexico. He has a knife in his hand. 5 cops are around him. 3 of them got AR-15s. They tell him, put the knife down. He says, all right, if I put the knife down, you're not going to shoot me, right? They say, no, we're not going to shoot you. He puts the knife down. As soon as the knife hits the floor, 2 of the cops with the AR-15s just open fire on him for no reason. Drop him right there. Like, yeah, an evil cop is an evil cop. All cops are not racist. We do have tens of thousands of evil cops out here. That I will never deny. They murdered my family, so I'm not pro cop. I'm pro sheriff, but not pro police. There's a big difference there. You know, that's a constitutional thing. But yeah, so again.
So I'm just gonna ask a question. Can I ask you a question? So you think that George Floyd, right? So was that a mistake that he kneeled on his neck for 9 minutes? Was that a mistake?
No, that was not a mistake. But if you know about those 2, they worked at the same damn club.
You call that murder? Is that murder?
Yeah, that was a personal situation, though. He never liked him. He wanted to do that. Like, and he's gonna get convicted and he's gonna go to jail. He's not getting off on that one. Nah, I can't see no jury acquitting him on that. I can't see that. No. So he's gonna get convicted.
I personally think, right, that somebody, if you've been in the force for 26 years and you draw out a taser gun, right, and you're thinking that you're pulling out a taser gun and you take out a gun, she should be held accountable. In any job that you have, you're held accountable, right? And I'm tired.
Yeah, she's been charged. She's been charged with manslaughter.
Good, but I'm talking about she should be charged with murder. But I'm saying that I'm fed up of hearing.
No, that's not murder.
I know, but that's for you. But that's my opinion, which I respect your opinion. But I think it's murder. As far as I'm concerned, you're put in that position, right? You're doing that job. I'm tired of them having them make excuses. Oh, sorry, I thought the crisp packet was a gun. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I thought that he pulled out his phone. It was a gun, so I shot him. No, I'm tired of that. They need to be held accountable.
Now, wait, but see, again, wait, hold on. Again, this is what I'm saying. We got to take each case by case basis. Amadou Diallo in New York, he pulled out his wallet. Nah, before cops murdered that dude, they shot him like 70 times. That was just uncalled for. That means people shot, they emptied their car, their full magazine, and reloaded and shot again. Like, that's straight murder.
You call that
That's straight murder.
You call that racism?
Well, that's New York, so that could be some racist stuff. That's New York, because I done seen. Look, see, throughout the 90s, you had a certain amount of people that became cops in New York, and these were, how would you say, weaklings growing up. They became cops because it was a good ass paying city job. They didn't become a cop because they wanted to save people and fight crime. It was just a good ass job. It was either do that or become a sanitation worker. And if they couldn't get in sanitation, they went and became a cop. Okay? So you got a lot of them that was straight up and down racist. You feeling me? Okay. And then you got a lot of them who were.
I'm just going to say another quick thing. My auntie Marie, which I've been trying to beckon her to come on, as you know, she's really good. She has a lot of knowledge. She said mistake, as you know, she's done law. She said mistake. She did a training course that morning, and 100%, I know what my aunt is like. She will dig into every single context of that situation, right? Because that's how her brain works. She's done that for so much years. Where she'll look into that, and she's right. I can't even. She's done training that morning. How are you going to pull out? How are you going to try to make an excuse and say that you pulled out thinking it was a taser gun? That's ridiculous. Anyway,
I personally believe that it wasn't a mistake. I personally believe it wasn't a mistake. I think she's been in the force for too long. She knows what she's doing.
I mean, Sean just wanted to say something. I'll come to you, Nelson.
Yeah, it was kind of just. I'm glad that the brother spoke because he just proved my point. When you have people that will either black people that are out here saying racism doesn't exist, minimizing and diminishing the effects of racism.
Yes.
Coming up with white apologist statements. And this is my issue. Now you know why I do call out sellouts.
Yes.
This is dangerous because these are the type of black people that white people listen to, and it justifies their own racism. They say amongst themselves, look, there's a black guy that feels like we believe.
There's noise in the background. There's noise in the background.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of noise, yeah. And what, unfortunately, if you get black people with this mindset in and around white people, they're more likely to put that black person in a position of power. That's when it becomes dangerous. When you have black people with this mindset who then get elevated into positions of power, all they are conduits for white racism. That's why we have to call them out. That's where this high idea that we should be tolerant, that everyone has a voice, let him say what he wants. I come across as harsh because I don't allow that. Yes. No, you can't, because you have a voice to say what you want. We can't have black people out here saying that racism doesn't exist.
Yes.
Justifying police murders. We can't have that because that impacts all of us. So if you want to say that, we call you out and then we ostracize you.
I was arrested 25 times in 1 year.
call you out.
Whoa, hold on.
No,
First
wait,
of all,
John,
nah.
Too
Wait,
dangerous.
hold
It's too
on.
dangerous.
Nah, hold on. First of all,
What?
see, you the sellout, okay? First of all, I gotta question your intelligence now because
Nelson,
first of all,
Nelson, I'm the
you thinking
sellout.
all
Tell
black
him off.
people. You are thinking all black people are monolithic. You thinking we all one. We are not all one. We ain't even all one in back in Africa. We could pick. I could pick what 10 countries now that people are warring in. We are not all one. We do not all think the
Facts.
same. And
Facts.
damn right,
Facts.
I'm from America. Freedom of speech, and I'm gonna defend that anywhere, anytime. Feeling me? You will never shut me up. See, that's what I'm talking about. These modern day so-called pro-black people, they not pro-black, they just communists trying to control people.
No, but
You are out for power. You are no different than these white liberals out here. You are fighting for
Rasta.
power and control.
Rasta, sometimes you got race traitors, you know, and you sound like a race traitor. Simple as. You have to call a spade, and you're a spade. And it's as simple as that.
Look. Look, you can say whatever you want. Again,
I know,
you
I'm
ain't
free
gonna
to.
shut me up. Yeah, exactly. But what I'm saying is, all black people are not one. We don't all think the same. You feeling me? And that's not, and that's just straight lie. All these, wait, hold on. Again,
Just let me say one thing. So we spoke about regurgitating racist right-wing talking points. And we have another example. Black people were going around calling people that advocate for racism communists. This is a racist right-wing talking point that the brother is spewing. So every time he speaks, he literally just reinforces my point. We have black people out here diminishing racism, spewing, regurgitating right-wing racist talking points. And these black people like that are a hindrance to the black community. Which black person you know is a communist? Ridiculous. But this is what right-wing Fox News, that type of, and he doesn't realize that when you say that black people that are out here protesting are communists and are fighting for communism, that's actually in itself racist, because you're saying that black people haven't got a mind of their own, that they're being controlled by Russia. So even when you come with that ridiculous statement that black people are communists, even that in itself is a racist statement, because there's no black communists out here doing anything. There's a couple of them in the BLM who claim to be communists, but the majority of black people out here are not communists. This is nonsense, but this is the propaganda that's put out there by white people, and this black man is a conduit for that.
Hold on, John. You're saying
realize that saying that it is itself racist, because just saying that black people, we haven't got a mind of our own, we're controlled by Russian communists.
Hold on a second. Personally, I think that lady, what she did was racist. Personally, this is what I think. Okay, but hold on a second, because Francis said that he has a different opinion about that incident from yours. Somehow that means he needs to be ostracized from the community, and he's a racist.
That statement. It wasn't just that statement. See, you're picking on one thing and saying, I'm not making that judgment based on one statement. I'm saying, as I said to you, okay, I repeat it. If you have black people out here diminishing racism, minimizing the effects of racism.
Real quick.
The noise in the background. Please.
Let me just answer that question that Nelson asked. If we have black people out here minimizing the effect of racism on black people that could end up with us being killed, when you have black people spewing and coming up with the same talking points that right-wing racists do, these people are a hindrance to the black community, because other white people are hearing that, and it justifies their prejudice and racism, because they would say, look, this black person feels the same way. And those are the black people that they put on Fox News to be responsible for black people. They're the black people that they'll put in positions of power. there was a senator out there, an African, I think he's originally from Africa. As soon as he tried to position himself in power, the first thing he said was, I'm going to get rid of Black History Month. Now, why do you think he said that? To align himself with the people that will put him in power, because he knows white people, racist white people, want to get rid of Black History Month. So he knows by saying that, that would increase his chances of getting elected into a position of power. So these are Black
John,
that's sorry, a hindrance. They're a hindrance to Black people, and they're the ones that actually, in the long run, increase the issues that we have, because we have people like that in positions of power, and they're nothing more than puppets.
John, I'm sorry, but I disagree, because listening to Francis, that's not what I get. What I get from Francis is this: he is against racism. He did admit the fact that there are racist police officers out there, many of them, who are capable, who are capable of doing evil things towards Black people. He did admit all of these things. Just because he has a different opinion on that particular situation, like, for example, I agree with many of his talking points, but on that particular situation, I disagree with him. I think that woman is experienced enough in her job, and what she did was, I'm sorry, was racist. I can't even condone that. Yeah. But at the same time, you're talking in terms of ostracizing. You're talking in terms of, like, to me, that's dangerous. When you start talking in those terms, then that means what you're doing is you're separating the Black community, because he has what? Because he has a different way of seeing that particular situation. Okay, you're basically saying that this person. Let me finish, John. You're basically saying that this person is no longer part of the Black community. What you're doing is you're separating the Black community. That's all you're doing. And one of the things that he said is absolutely right. What you think the Black color somehow is what? Somehow is capable of uniting Black people.
No. Okay, let me answer. First of all, I don't believe in I live in the real world. I don't believe that every Black people, let me finish. I don't believe that unity amongst Black people, every Black person, is achievable. I live in the real world. There's no race.
It's not needed, my brother. It's not needed.
But let me just make this point. It's not needed. And let me make this point too. No race is unified, first of all, but it still achieves things. All we need is enough Black people on code. We don't need everyone to be unified. Okay, that's the first thing. So this idea that we all need to be unified. And yes, we do need to ostracize some people.
Yes, purge them. Purge it.
Nat Turner, the Haitian Revolution. Who did they poison first? Who did Macandal poison first? The Black slaves that he knew would rattle telltale on the Black people. Those are the ones he instructed his people, murder them ones first. Before we get rid of the whites, we're going to get rid of these ones first, because they're going to destroy the whole plan. Every revolutionary, Nat Turner, they killed Black people. I'm not talking about killing.
Who sold out Marcus Garvey?
Exactly. They understood the Black Panthers too. If they'd have killed that little boy that was in them, that was the Black Panther would have achieved. Fred Hampton would still be alive now. So this idea that you just let people talk and carry on, no, you ostracize them, you highlight them. This is a sellout.
You kill them.
Doesn't represent us. You go over there with the white people. You, Candace Owens, you go over there.
No, you don't let them escape.
Okay, so technically
we can't do what we did back then.
Are you hearing this guy over here? Whoa.
Hello, I'm going to mute. I have something to say. No, I have something to say, and then you can say something after. Thank you very much. Right, so what's it? What I wanted to say is this, right? As I've been told that I'm a Candace Owen lover, I've been told that, you know what I mean, I promote these things. As I've been told that, because I got rid of 5 people out of a group, and 2 of them I brought back in, and I was told that they were my friends that I kept out of that I didn't delete out the group, which actually I deleted as soon as I found out somebody who I knew was an offender, even though I've never met them in my personal life ever. I don't have their phone number, but I know them just because of I have good contribution with, we have good exchange on Facebook. I spoke to that person. I said, these things aren't acceptable. I tried to bring people together and try to sort out, and I brought them both back in, and they both respectfully come back in the group, and there's no problems. Because of those things, I have been told I am basically wishy-washy. I'm technically, if it was in a certain group, was it kinfolk, not, was it something kinfolk, not skinfolk, whatever it is, I'm told that I'm not, right? I'm technically a sellout then, right? So technically I should be, killed or told that I'm bound because I'm going to be the grass. Was it just because I give people open speech? Do you see what I mean? I've had things, I've just, all I've done is try to stop an argument over stupid childhood kiddie stuff, which I probably did when I was in primary school or secondary school. And because I did that, I was ostracized by people who would say, oh, they're pro, but I believe we're all one. Was it told that that's what I am? And then when I still get have people messaging me and saying all kinds of stuff to me, I put it up and I was transparent, and I was told, why did I bring up all this stuff again? No, I'm being transparent. It needs to stop. If you can humiliate me and put me on a page, that means I'm going to expose what you've done, which is hurtful to myself. And then after that, it was put up on a page again, and I'm told that I'm inciting more problems. How can I incite problems when all I did, I've never engaged in these people, and I've been put up on a page with my face, with another lady's face, do you know what I mean? And had people saying all kinds of things, which were half the things are not even true. Well, it wasn't true. And then second of all, I was told on the second post that they put up that I mustn't cry and I mustn't go and beg. I've never cried to ask the post down, take them down the first time. I never begged anybody to take the post down. And the second time when the post was up, I said, you know what? I leave it to God, my Father. God, my Father, will take all the energy and negativity away from me. Whatever will be, I can't stop it. If I'm a sellout, if I'm a bad person, if I'm not a person that advocates for Black people, that means that I should be cast as I was in the dirt by my other Black people, right? And that's how I feel.
Okay.
Yeah, according to that logic, you should be killed.
Look, everyone, people have their perceptions and opinions. And to an extent, is Brother Samuel right when he's saying that not all Black people can get along? You're always going to get one or two of your own that will come at you for whatever reason. It could be maybe you're prettier than them. Maybe you got a better life than them. Or maybe it could just be texting. People read texts wrong. Someone can look at something and think, oh, what does he mean by that? And he might not even mean what you think he means. This might be just the headspace you're in. There are a lot of mental people out there, right? We've had lockdown. You don't know what people have been going through. And, it's not nice when people subject you to certain things and whatnot. But it makes me wonder if Brother Samuel was quite right, because it's true, as Black people, we don't really define ourselves as one. We are all over the place. We argue about the most craziest things.
Pathetic, childish, stupid things. You don't even have to know anyone. You don't actually have to have a conversation with anybody, not even a text conversation, nothing, without being ridiculed.
Right. And also, just let me finish my point. And also, just to talk about what Brother Samuel was saying, now this I don't agree with. How can you kill someone over a traffic speeding fine or whatever ticket? I don't care what the reason is, right? The man didn't have a gun. He wasn't pointing at you. He wasn't trying to kill you. He was in his car. Whether he didn't pay his traffic, whatever, fair enough. Why do you need to kill him? And why do we always make the perpetrators the victims? When did they become the victims? The victim's dead. The victims have died. So why are we making these people the victims? Like, oh, it was an accident. It was an accident. So if I go out tomorrow and shoot a white person by accident, let's see what happens to me. Let's see what happens to me. It ain't gonna be exactly the same thing. It ain't gonna be. There ain't gonna be no Black person say, "Ooh, Mike's might have done it by accident." They're gonna be like, "Wow, Mike's, you killed somebody." That's what my people would say because they know me. So I personally don't agree with all this police brutality and all that stuff. If you know about slavery and why the police were formed in the first place, they were always formed there to attack us and bring us down each and every time. And like what Brother Samuel was saying, yes, you're going to get some bad, evil people that will just go out there just to kill black people because it's not even about anything they've done. It's just the color of their skin. They just want to take us out for whatever ignorant reasons they have, you know. But I've seen too many of these videos where our people are just getting shackled and killed day in, day out. And I can't sit here and say, I kind of agree it was an accident. I just can't. It's just too much. It is too much.
Here's what I'm hearing, yeah. If you disagree, yeah, then you're a sellout. You should be ostracized and you should be killed. Here's what I'm hearing, yeah. That's very much how communism actually works. You disagree with what we believe to be right, what we think is right, what we say, let me finish. We disagree with what we think to be right, what we believe to be right. Guess what happens to you? That's it. That is your value as a person. Your value as a person is dependent upon agreeing with what the power in charge basically says so. Okay. Now, this is what I'm hearing. If we can't, let me tell you something. If you can't disagree with people respectfully, if you can't have a dialogue, if you can't talk about certain things in a factual and evidence manner, let me tell you something. That's a recipe for self-destruction right there. You can stop all your little fantasies about what and what not. That doesn't help the black community. That destroys the black community to the ground. So ostracizing people, because that's what I'm hearing. That type of language. That type of language. You lot seriously. You lot don't know what you're dealing with when you start talking in those terms, because that's exactly where we're heading. That communist and John trying to make fun of the whole communist aspect of what Brother Samuel was talking about. You should have never done that, because that's exactly what I'm hearing when you actually go down to, when you actually look at it in its most basic level. That's exactly what is happening.
Okay,
can I
Go on, can I just say what Carly?
Karen.
Because she hasn't said, Corinne, sorry, she hasn't said very much. Sorry.
I would agree with you there, Nelson. And also, I'm really sad that I missed the Sunday show about the youth, because in the same respect, what I think the only way to move forward in all areas of social disharmony is to find unity and to focus on positive. So whereas a lot of our community groups now, we see them come up with a banner or the guise of gun and knife crime or youth gangs, and it's all negativity. How can we ever go forward by putting any weight on negativity or any sort of initiative on negativity? What we should be doing is, boom, we've got a space at a retreat and they do sailing, so we're going to take 20 youths who have the worst experience, we're taking them sailing for the week, and we're going to just make them happy and make them elated and give them some self-confidence.
Energy, give them some energy, positive energy for their soul, for their mental. You know what I mean? Even if people have, even if there's enough money we can donate for certain young people to have, you know what I mean, even some counseling, because a lot of these kids, they also need counseling before they turn into big grown people. They need to sort out those issues that they've got as kids before they take it into their adulthood, where it's much harder for them to deal with.
Counselling also is a delicate area, because counselling is usually biased and from the ethos of the counsellor. So it's got to be a community collective, everybody
100%.
You know, so yeah, we've just got to find ways of completely empowering, strengthening. That is down to food as well, you know. What you put in you is extremely important. And what I believe is that if you eat away, or you train your body to receive good nutrients, it unlocks an innate sense of awareness within you. If a bird loses its mum, I say this a lot, so anyone who's known me has heard this a few times, yeah, but if a chick happens to survive and his mother's got killed, nobody tells that chick annually, when the winter comes, it's time to fly south. There is an innate technology in the brain, and we equally as humans have that same vision, that same essence, that same connection to nature. If you are eating a slavery-induced diet and you are following a culture which is not conducive to your
system,
essence, it is going to be very difficult for you to hear the messages of the universe, you know. And another essential part of my whole being is that we are in this universal pot, you know.
You have to be able to listen. You have to be able to listen to the universe as well, spiritually as well. And a lot of us are lost spiritually. Do you see what I mean? Because remember, was it as Africans, that's how we was able to guide ourselves to do things, by listening to our spiritual self.
But race has nothing to do with it also, because there's a divine human spirit, you know. And I can sit with somebody who is not of the same race and demographic of myself, but has lived a certain way, and we have a unified collective thought. So 100%. I'm not necessarily saying that, you know, this is about, you know, we have to realize that race is a construct, and that everybody is feeding off this 400-year-old construct.
Everybody's got a spirit. Doesn't matter what color you are. What it is that what's been lost in transit a lot is because of we've got so much mental turmoil that a lot of us are not in touch with ourselves to be able to seek that. So, you know what I mean? As I said, every nation of people have a spiritual side, you know what I mean? It's like, come on, every nation meditates. I'm not going to single out and say, oh, only Black people. That's rubbish. It's every single nation has a spiritual side. That's why we can connect with each other. It's just that a lot of us, obviously, if you are not fed mentally with it, and your mind isn't right, you'll never be able to see. You can't see if your brain is just like a cluttered house. If you've got a house which is cluttered, all of a sudden you're stressed, you can't manage, you can't do things. You need to be able to have a clear mind, a clear thought, and to hear yourself for you to be able to see and hear things. Sorry, Sean, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to come back on Nelson and that statement he made. Well, first of all, I mean, when he asked me what a sellout was, I didn't say a sellout is someone that has a difference of opinion. Now, there's a massive difference between having a difference of opinion and having some of the traits and behaviors that I specifically outlined, which, to repeat myself, would be diminishing, minimizing the effects of racism. I don't want to repeat myself because I think I said it about 3 times. I was very clear about what it means to be, I believe, a sellout or to demonstrate that type of behavior. It's not about disagreeing with me on the topic. That's not the issue. I don't believe, quote, that people could be killed for having a difference of opinion. That's ridiculous. I would never put forward such an idea. It's nothing to do with having a difference of opinion. There's certain behaviors that if a Black person demonstrates, they are a hindrance to the community as a whole and a danger to it, because they can be used against us. Any Black person that puts themselves in that position, and there's examples of this. That's why I mentioned the murders and the killing that happened post a lot of rebellions. There's examples of Black people that literally were a danger to the Black community, and in that particular period of time, they were executed. I'm not saying that we should do that now, of course not. I'm just giving the rationale behind why some Black people need to be ostracized. Because
do you know,
if you let me finish my point. If you have, are we saying that people like Nat Turner, people like Dessalines and Toussaint Louverture, Mackinac, are you saying that they were wrong for what they did? Should they have not then executed those Black people that were a clear and present danger to them? Is that what we're saying? Because they know better than we did. They were in it. So if they acted that way, they did that for a reason. I'm not going to second guess men like that and women like that. There's Harriet Tubman would turn a gun and shoot a slave if they ever thought of trying to destabilize her route out of slavery. She said that she would do it. She said that she would kill any Black person that would try to mess up her route out of slavery. So we do have Black people that are literally a hindrance and a danger to the Black community, and they exist now. I'm not saying we should kill them. I mean, I'm not saying.
Well, that's what that they should be ostracized. They should be good. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you the Black people. Yeah. Let me tell you the Black people in the community. What if I started thinking in this way? Yeah, follow me here. Yeah, anyone who doesn't condemn gang culture, anyone who doesn't condemn the numerous killings at the hands of Black gangs, okay, against Black people, anyone that doesn't speak out against it, yeah, continuously, if we see a behavior of them not speaking out against it, not going up there, not stopping it, they should be murdered.
Is that your position, or are you asking me?
No. Anyone who puts out music, right, that could potentially destroy the family, yeah, that promotes the sexualizations of young black girls and black boys. Anyone who puts out music talking about killing a black man or a black person should be. And if I see a behavior amongst these people where they are not condemning it, they should all be murdered.
Is that your position, or are you asking me?
No. I'm just trying to show you how dangerous. Hold on, wait. Let me finish. Well, we just heard it. We heard it on this channel here. Yeah, we can't even deny it. That's recorded.
Let's clarify.
Someone said they should be killed. You said they should be ostracized.
Okay, well, I didn't say they should be killed. You keep talking about murdering.
No. Hold on.
My brother, hold on a second.
You said someone should be ostracized, and the other person said it should be killed. I'm still talking.
I said it.
Yeah, you said. I know you said it. But the thing is, John, you said someone they should be ostracized. Listen, I'm playing a logics game with you here, okay? And I just gave you my logic that anyone who condones any music killing black man or sexualizing the black young the young black boy and child should be murdered.
Can I
that's that logic.
Can I respond?
Because
can I respond?
I'm still talking.
Let him respond. Go on.
Listen, I'm not an intellectual, so I've never really all conversation with intellectuals because you can never win. I say I've never seen an intellectual has freed a nation in the annals of history. In the annals of history.
Can't do this.
In the annals of history, you understand? Because you got some people are very eloquent and good speaking, and some people that don't speak a lot, but they're willing to put their shoulder to the wheel, you know. So it's like we're just different people and different entities.
Okay, what I think he's trying to say is this, right? Okay, if you believe in communism and you're saying that, or you believe in, where you should be ostracized. Sorry, my auntie's coming in. Yes. My auntie's going to be here from Jamaica. She's here. Right. If you're going to say that black people who are not for black people and they're against, like say for instance you thought that Samuel was against black people for the things that he was spewing out or whatever, or the traitors to black people should be ostracized or murdered or whatever, then
not really murdered, but just ostracized, isn't it? Murder is just
okay, let's get it right then. Ostracized, right? Yeah. So what he's trying to say is they should be ostracized. Then the people who are the people who wait, can let me finish, please. The people who are singing against, like say for instance, you have songs, a lot of our songs talk about, killing black people, killing our own people. We have a lot of things like, bad man tune, you want to kill a black man, this, and this. And then you also have tunes which are derogatory to women, which I want to come to a point what somebody wanted us to talk about the protection of women. Now, if those songs are degrading women, making women look bad, in the community, and telling men to also put drugs out in the community or to actually kill one another, right? Are those people classed as the same thing as somebody who, as you'd call, you'd say that Samuel, in your opinion, is a sellout? Would you call those people who are having those tunes against black people, would you call them sellouts as well? I think that's what he's trying to say.
And my answer would be black people like that are victims of white supremacy. When you have black people that have such low self-esteem that they're putting out lyrics about murdering black people, harming black women, you can't equate that with someone that deliberately, consciously minimizes and diminishes racism or regurgitates racist right-wing talking points. These are people, let me finish, these are black people who are victims of their circumstances, okay? Now, they're not talking about killing all black people. Those same people, most of those people that are in...
I think that guy keeps doing it on purpose, man.
Hold on. Go on,
the guy that said he wants to kill people, he keeps putting that music on.
No, it's not him. So please.
It's not him. Oh, I apologize if it's not him.
Right. What I was gonna say is this, right? When it comes to, I don't think you can have two sides. Just like with the woman with the gun saying that, oh, it was an accident. It's this. They know when they go and make a song, they know with the right money, they're happy to sell themselves out, right? And a lot of them will do it for the right price. And I put it up in the group one time. I don't know if it was when you was in the group or not, but I put it up. Would you talk that kind of rubbish to your people, right? Or put out a song? Like, don't get me wrong, I listen to these songs and I'm not going to be a hypocrite and say I haven't listened to these songs, but I'm saying that would you, for the right amount, if it was like, 50 million, would you put out a song which is regarding harming black people, like saying, shoot that N and do all this kind of business, whatever it is, right? Or cussing, calling her a hoe or a bitch or whatever it is, right? Would you, do that for 50 million? And I guarantee, if I said, right, line up now, everyone in the community, even people sort of not being funny, even in your pro-black group, where you got pro-black people, if you put the money on the table, would you do that? Right? They would do it, and they would sell themselves out. They would sell themselves out, and they'd put degrading songs out there. Don't go like that. We don't hold ourselves to accountability. Just like Samuel has to hold himself accountability. He's a product of all of the system as well. We're all products of the system, and I'm not going to have it where we're all going to sit here and go, oh, this is the reason. As I said, I'm not going to be a victim. I don't have a victim mentality where I'm like, because of this, that's the reason why my mind doesn't work right. No, they know exactly what they're doing. That's what sells. That's what makes money, right? And that's how they do it to get to make their money. They're not thinking about
Rachel.
all those.
Sorry.
Do you see rappers? Do you see rappers?
Sell out. The definition of sell out. The definition of sell out is that.
Do you see rappers getting inches and columns in reputable newspapers? Do you see them as anchors on Fox News?
Okay.
Do you see them as mayors and police chiefs and senators?
Let me go back to that. Right. So you will see some of them like Kanye West and silly people like that, right? And Beyonce's husband, Jay-Z, whatever it is, you'll see them out there doing whatever it is. But remember, nowadays, you don't even need to watch Fox News. Nobody even watches TV. Come on, everybody on here, please tell me, how often do you turn your TV on? Because I don't watch it. I'm not interested in it. Right,
These
so
these rappers don't have platforms where millions, thousands of millions of white people are they're not conduits for millions and thousands of racist white people.
Yes, they are.
They're not.
Okay, hold on. But once you've got social media, right? That's the reason why now everyone's can have their own independent record labels. You don't need a record label. You don't need anyone to put everything out there. That's the reason why you can be a dancer who's just a very good dancer and have 500,000 or 600,000 followers. You can have girls on OnlyFans pages with 1.9 whatever million people on there. They got more people watching them, then they've got then you've got some famous people. So the times have changed. Maybe when we was growing up, yes, when we was growing up, I remember it was completely different to the way it is now. You had to be in magazines. I was in magazines every week, all the time. When I was growing up, I was in magazines every week. But it's different now. If it was social media, and if the way how popular I was when I was a younger person for what I did for a living, maybe when I got older now, if it was the same structure what it was when I was young, I'd probably have loads of followers like that and loads of people following me. It's a completely different time, and we have to realize that the information that goes out there on platforms now, it gets to people directly. Everybody sat here like this consistently. They don't move. They're sitting at dinner like that. They're not watching telly. They're not watching Fox News. They don't care. They're watching social media.
Rachel,
you can't compare.
hold on a second. Can I just get this out? Yeah. I want everyone to just see what just happened. Yeah. I heard that if someone, Brother Samuel, right? Where we had a scenario where I even disagreed with Brother Samuel in that thing. According to John, Brother Samuel is a sellout, okay, because of his opinion, right? Now, I brought up and I followed his logic. We heard that people like Brother Samuel should be ostracized, and we even heard should be killed, right? Now, I said, okay, let's follow that logic through, okay, to its conclusion. Now, let's say that anyone who makes music, who encourages the death of young black women, black child, black men, should also be murdered. Okay, I haven't heard this being condemned yet. What I've heard is it's the white man's fault. Okay, why we talk the way we talk. It's to do with white supremacy. Why we advocate for the murder of our people, not because we should be held accountable for what we say and do. Okay, so the people that consistently promote, the murder of young black children, okay, all the time, they leave them alone. That's okay. That's all right. Yeah, we don't worry about condemning that. What we should condemn is someone that has a different opinion in regards to what happened in that situation with the police officer and so on. Okay, now, are you not hearing what's going on here?
Hang on 1 second, Nelson. We already that death was a bit of a harsh. It was just it was a harsh analogy, and that's not necessarily what we were saying. So, we take back death, but
it is what it is. It is what it is, isn't it? It's really.
You can't make this shit up.
Can I just make one statement? Can I just come back on that? So first of all, this idea that black rappers are just talking about randomly killing black people is not true.
Hang on a second. What I want to say is, this industry, this music industry, which is perpetrating the rappers, the Nicki Minaj's and the scanty hoes that are all out here, that's not an accident. Why that is the only message that certain moguls will release in this place. That is part of the racism that I'm talking about in infrastructure and economics. Back in the day, in the 80s, in the 70s, and the 60s, when rap was around, that was owned by us. And we determined the agenda, we determined the conversation, we determined the output and the style in which we were doing that. Right now, we have an industry that is controlled by certain moguls, and they choose to only put Nicki Minaj and Cardi Battyface B in the forefront. I love Cardi B. Cardi, I'm not even dissing you as a human. Do you know what I mean? You're good, you're funny, you are talented, and you are great to watch. I'm not even disputing that. But she has a moral responsibility as a woman of color to put things out there which will enhance us. And she chooses to do whatever she wants to do. That's her option. We have people like Lauryn Hill. We have people like Janai. We have other people in the forefront that equally have a moral message. We have, what's her name? My favorite, Queen Ifrica. All these artists are incredibly empowering and strengthening for us. It's not an accident why they're not given the forefront and they're not given the media presence that these other people are, because there is an agenda, a racist economic and social economic and agenda, which is only putting those things in the forefront. And some of us have a responsibility. I will never buy a Cardi B album, because I know that the message she has sent to every single young girl that dresses like her, acts like her, talks like her, does her hair like her, I will never support her, because she has created an army of little tarts. So, I still would give all my money to all the artists.
So you condemn it?
I condemn what?
Do you condemn any music, any calling that degrades or any that contributes to the killing of young black women and child? Do you condemn? Because the thing is, what you're saying is it's so true. I agree with you 100%. But the thing is, we are still participating on it. And I refuse to believe that we don't have the brains to realize that this is wrong. We do have the brains to realize that this is wrong, okay? And it's not because of white supremacy. We are just like Rachel said, if I gave 50 million pounds right now, and I said, okay, this is the music that I want you to make, she said, there will be a line outside, okay? That's what I'm trying to get at. We are participating in it willingly.
I agree. And this is
And let's stop blaming other people for it.
No. It's not even blaming other people, because what I did say is that I love her as an artist, and what she's doing is, whatever she's doing is great. But there is an industry which only focuses on that. She is needed. Her energy is needed. Some people need help sexually. So that should be, that if that's available in the world, that's available in the world. Some people choose to perpetuate that more than others. I personally wouldn't dress in that way. I don't support her in any way. And I think it's wrong for parents that allow their under 18-year-old children to follow that fashion. I am 100% in that mind frame here. But we have to understand that there is a certain agenda which has manipulated that in the forefront.
I absolutely agree with you. There's definitely an agenda. Yeah, definitely.
I think
let's get other people to talk about it as well. Let's get other people.
All right, can I say something? Can I say something? Can I say something?
The only thing is I gotta go, guys, because it's late. It's 11 o'clock and I haven't eaten yet.
All right, can I ask you, actually, before you go, John, somebody has been trying to get to ask you a question. What they want to find out, what about the protection of Black women? Why are Black women not protected? They don't feel that, pro-Black is not protecting so much of women.
Well, I mean, I don't really I've never understood what the term protected means. I mean, I don't know any Black man that would see a Black woman in danger and not the Black men I associate with, that would see a Black woman in danger and walk away. So this idea of not being protected, compared to who, compared to, I mean, what is it? What's the comparison? I don't understand. What compared to what? Compared to another race? Compared to another group of women?
They just don't feel that.
I just don't get. I've never understood that statement or the argument, because what are you comparing that to? Are you suggesting that Black men wouldn't protect a Black woman in danger?
Well, people want to know
about that argument.
Why do they feel that Black women get bullied online more than more than the men? A lot of women are getting bullied. They're saying that men are actually bullying. Where's the protection of women? Where's the respect when it comes to women being bullied online, or just bullied full stop? Not just online, but just normally. How comes women are not protected?
Well, I think the same thing could be said about women bullying other women.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get the argument. I don't get the question. I don't know why it's so.
I'm only.
Yeah, I understand that. No, I'm not. But I don't get the question, because well, first of all, online you can all you have to do if you're feeling is log off. Just delete your account.
I personally can't delete my account. If it was for me, I can't delete my accounts. I'd have to delete my whole platform.
I think it's unfair to say just log off, because the thing is, people are emotionally invested. They become emotionally invested when someone speaks. When we communicate to each other as human beings, okay, we're passing. There's more than just words. It's not just as easy as logging off. Okay, we feel something. Okay, it affects how we feel. So it's not that easy to just say log off, and that's why we go back and forth whenever we debate online and so on, because it's not as easy as saying log off. So we can't just log off. I just, sorry to say it, but I just wanted to drop that in there, because it's not that easy to log off when people get emotionally invested in what people are actually saying, because words have power. They do affect you.
Yeah. If I could just interject. Yeah, I mean, that whole thing about protecting a woman or a man, I mean, how many times have we walked past police aggravating Black men and we just walk by? Because what, we've got kids to get to, we've got other things to do. We don't protect each other. And I just want to come back on what Nelson was saying about the rap. I do definitely think these rappers are sellouts. They are really sellouts. And we know that they're sellouts. Just like what
we don't call them sellouts.
Come on, we know they're sellouts. That's why we wouldn't buy their records. But at the end of the day, there's other young and up and coming kids that will listen to that and think that's just the norm, or that's the word, or that's what you got to be. I mean, there's a woman that said, was it Dr. Frances Cresswell? She said it beautifully. We are the only people on this entire planet who have been taught to sing and praise are demeanment, like saying I'm a bitch, I'm a hoe, I'm a gangster, and I'm a thug, I'm a dog. If you can train our people to demean and degrade themselves, you can oppress them forever. You can even program them to kill themselves, and they won't even understand what's happened. And
You
that
see,
says,
Mike, yeah,
that says it all
Mike,
to me.
the difference between
Hold up.
Samuel, let me just get this off, yeah. Samuel, let me just get this off.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, listen, we all sell out. Yeah, because we've all listened to this type of music, we've all promoted it, we've all encouraged it at some points, and that makes us all sell out. At the end of the day, I don't believe this idea that we've been programmed to do something. No, we are created by God. We have free will, and we've accepted to make music. We've accepted the money, and we've decided to go along with it. For example, I'll tell you one thing. One guy, what's his name? Bone Thugs and Harmony. Yeah, one of the rappers in Bone Thugs and Harmony. He's actually come out. Okay, and he actually described how he was in one of those meetings. Okay, where they wanted to change the narrative of the music industry, where they wanted to go into more into the gangster thingy. And let me tell you something. Every single rapper, they accepted it. They could have stopped at any moment and said, you know what, this is killing our people. I'm going to stop that. I'm not going to promote this type of stuff. To me, that's a real sellout. Okay, so if we're going to talk about sellouts, we all sell out. I'm sorry. And the thing is, I'm just trying to change the narrative. That's all I'm trying to do. I want people to start saying, this is wrong. I'm not here to accuse people. I'm just saying this is wrong. You see, but what I'm not doing is I'm not ostracizing people. I'm not saying kill them, get rid of them. I'm saying, do you know what I'm saying? I'm saying, listen, we've all made mistakes. We need to talk to each other. We need to communicate with each other. We need to come to an agreement. We need to identify what the problem is, and we need to find the solution together. But what you can't do is say, okay, you know what? Because these rappers are doing all this, let's ostracize them. Let's get rid of them. Because that's why I was following John's logic. This is what I'm trying to do. If we can believe you me, I'm good at logic. We can both follow that logic. If we're going to be talking about the word sell out. Yeah. I swear. Anyways, go ahead.
You did say something earlier. You just said something like, what are you saying? People can't, that people are sellouts. Yeah, I don't agree with the term either. But what I do feel is that even with this whole COVID scenario that we're going through at the moment, a lot of people have followed the government and decided to listen. You've got 1,020,000 people out here running around with their masks and they think that there's a virus. I'm one of these virus. There are not. Do you know what I mean? There's no virus. This is all a hoax. And I'm on that kind of thought frame. But a lot of people are so convinced that they need this herd mentality and they need to be told and they need to follow instructions and they are brainwashed and manipulated into believing that there is a higher force that has their best interest at heart. So I mean, that's something we need to deal with. So that are those people though, if you talk to them properly and analytically and you say to them, well, look, boom, it's this, that, and A, B, and C, and this is how I think. Once they've got both sides of the coin, they can make a fair decision. So anyone who has been manipulated by mass media and mass Cardi B and the rappers that are telling them to kill themselves, if you put to them in a serious scenario, look, well, this is that, this is how the industry was, this is who's taken over now, this is their intention, this is what they've created, they've changed the tone from 432 megahertz, which is going to enhance you to fight, if you tell people the truth, yeah, knowledge is power. We've got to keep empowering, talking, encouraging people with what's the truth out here. And that's the only way. Once we're all thinking on the same hymn sheet, you don't even need to say to the next fellow, look, it's A, B, and C. He will automatically fall in line.
You know, sorry to cut in there. Do you know what I've been thinking all the time? We've been sitting here talking. What got me lately, what shocked me is the fact that I was watching the news and the news turned around and said the only people who's going to be safe from that country, St. Vincent, is people with the vaccine. Anyone remember that movie, is it 2012 or something? When there's only certain people allowed to get that shit. I thought for 1 minute that's exactly what it was, because we're all here talking about black this and racism and all that, but the most important thing right now, racism will never go away. But right now, St. Vincent now, or that country which is all going up and could be sinking, no one ain't talking much about that right now. And that's the reason why I sit here quiet, because I'm thinking of a different level, because I hear about racism every single day, everywhere you go. I even got racism at work and I just have to just shrug it off sometime. But at the same time, we're here thinking about the most positive side of things, like what's going on in other countries, how we can help other countries, how can we people push out that positiveness so other people can actually hear what's going on, instead of we're sitting talking about racism, the police. So we know we all got an opinion, but that's the reason I sit here quiet, because I'm trying to find something to bite. You know what I mean? I heard racism every single day of the week. We talk about racism all the time. We know how far we're going to get. What can we do about racism apart from, you know what I mean? We're going to shrug our shoulder tomorrow. We're going to wake up and it's gone and it's gone again. It's another day. But, you know what I mean? There's people out there like in St. Vincent dying. How can we help? How can we put together? How can we sing? How can we do something for them? How can we pray for them? What can we do to help them? While we're here talking about racism, no disrespect to everybody's opinion, okay? But that's the reason I sit here quiet and just listening, because I don't find nothing to bite on here. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? We know what the rappers do. We know they all sell out. We don't know from time. I don't even listen to the new school stuff. I still listen to old school stuff. If I go to a rave right now, I'll probably dance to some new tune. I'm only gonna probably like the beat, not the words. You know what I'm saying? So what are we saying about that? What level are we talking about? What can we say about that right now? What can we say, people? I leave that down to you guys. What can we say about that? What can we push out the energy for the people to think about the people who's more in need than us right now? You know what I mean?
To be honest,
rebuild the family, which is what were we doing?
Well, Rachel did bring it up about the St. Vincent stuff that's going on. She did say, you know, we're not.
Yeah, I know she did.
I know people, I'm going to have to go, guys, but I respect everyone. Nelson, it was a good back and forth. We disagreed, but I'm not going to lie, you made some really good points. Okay, that's why I kept quiet at times. So yeah, I learned something here. Respect to everyone, and yeah, we could do this again sometime. But
thanks for having a respectful debate with me, and for a nice back and forth, man. Hopefully we can do it again.
One thing, Auntie, what did you think of the arguments? What were going on in the debates? Not arguments, but debates. What did you think, Auntie? Because Jean has to go. I just want to find out what you thought, because I know you watched the whole thing.
I found it okay. Yeah, it's all right.
What was your opinion on it, though? What you heard, some of the topics that you heard?
I think it's more or less what I said the last time, which was that I agreed with the person who said that unity isn't, well, they didn't put it that way, but more or less they were saying unity isn't it. They didn't believe that we could be unified. I believe that we can coalesce, join together around an issue at a particular point in time for a particular period of time. But I don't see unless one has some kind of narrow and authoritative definition which is enforced pretty stiffly, I don't really see how unity is going to work. People define themselves in different ways. I mean, mixed race people that I know actually don't want to be classified as black or white. They feel there should be a category for mixed race. And because the issues they face is different. And they get disappointed when they're called black. And they feel that saying they're white as a whole is a little disingenuous. So mixed race people who call themselves black, those who don't want to say whether they're black or white, and they're those I've met who, quite a few of them, who really don't want to be put in that class. And if the mixed race is not between black and white, but say between Indian, Asian, and African, then there's a discussion about whether they should be called brown or black. And there seems to be a preference to be, in my experience, I'm only talking about my experience, they would want to be called brown, except where the power is with the black. I know when I was at uni and things, we started, and I'm not political, but there were these groups going around because black people weren't in university much. I think I was one of the first black people at my university studying what I was studying. So it was that kind of situation. And so for that reason, black people tended to band together more. And I've already said how Africans distinguish themselves from the West Indians who wanted to call themselves African and didn't really want to have anything to do with us apart from abuse us. And when we started AfroSoc, as we called it, African Society, as long as you were black, you could be a member of it. Then we found Asians wanted to join. And there weren't that many mixed race, but mixed race people wanted to join as well. What one found was that when we talked about issues that really affected the black community, if there is such a thing, those that weren't brown or mixed race or whatever, there was a different point of view that was being pushed through, or what needed to be done was being watered down. And so I was even there when they passed a resolution, because some black student organizations from America came and joined up with us for one of our little conferences. And they were amazed at what was going on, because the Asians, more or less, were dictating what the agenda was. And it was a very different agenda to that which we needed, because their experience of racism was so different. So I'm not sure that going for unity really is going to work. It does water down what we do. I think if everybody does what they can with what comes across their path, that's the way to do it, really. Those who, like Francis was saying, feel that they're conservative, a Republican, and there isn't any racism, and that's the world they're living in, and they're doing what they can to keep themselves safe and their family safe, and making what connections they can, because they aren't a threat to the oppressing powers, then I'm happy for him to do that. That's cool. I don't see how joining with him is going to advance my situation, because I'm not experiencing the world that he's experiencing. So it's also a game. We have to realize it's a kind of a war. And if everybody's doing the same thing, it does work to achieve certain goals. But if we have to be together to achieve something, we're going to stay in this situation, or the improvements are going to be very, very slow. And I'm disappointed about this. Maybe because my generation has tried it and done that, and it's not that we didn't achieve anything. We did. We can look back with pride. Yeah, we did this, we did that, but you're all going through it, which means we failed. And I wouldn't like you all to be thinking another 100 years pass by and you're going to be looking at your grandchildren and saying, well, from grandma's day to yours, we've moved this far. Well, no, the world is changing all the time. As someone was saying, it's just changing. And the way to adapt to it is reclaim the strength in ourselves. And the mistake I think that we have made, and going back in history from before us, is that the strength our parents and grandparents had came from their beliefs. Most of it, I believe, from their spiritual beliefs about powers outside of themselves, and they made use of that. There are those who made use of powers which I'm not happy with. They might call it, in Jamaica, they would call it obia. Other parts, they may call it other things. But some people may have made use of their knowledge of Egyptian or other Black religions. But most, to my knowledge, made use of the Christian religion. But I think we need to make use of spirituality, the power outside, and don't think that those who treat us badly aren't making use of those things. Nancy Reagan, she never let the president make any move without consulting their astrologers and stuff. Princess Diana, before she died, she used to use various people who guided her. I would not encourage anybody along that line, but I know that there are people listening on the group that probably believe in that. What I'm saying is we need to connect with our spirituality. I believe the spirituality that would be best for us to connect to would be God. And I would encourage the principles that we've learned from God to be used. If we use them, I don't see that we can lose. So I think we've been discussing rappers and whether or not we should support them. If one applies spirituality in that respect, if it comes across your path, it's for you to make a decision on. You shouldn't be ignoring it. And so if you think it's bringing things which are destructive into the world, then you shouldn't be supporting it. You know, we should just step away from it and encourage people to step away from it. Because otherwise, the world we're creating around us, we're choosing to include that negativity. Do we really want to do that? I don't see that that's going to help anybody to do that. They may think so, and if they think so, fine. Let them try it. My mum always used to say to me, if you can't hear, you'll feel. So people will try out what their beliefs are, and they will come to a conclusion about whether or not it works, whether in the long term it was the best thing to do, and they will share their experience. That's what I think. So it's all very nice that you're all thinking this way, but no. We have to look behind what's going on.
Well, listen, I think on that note, when I listened to my auntie, you know, she's an elder and the elder has spoken, right? So we've had all our opinions, and we also have to listen to an elder to find out as well, you know, their perspective, so that we have a wide range of opinions. And I think it's been quite a good, informative show this week. I'm glad that instead of everybody just going at it online, we finally have everybody meeting up on the group and saying whatever they need to say to each other respectfully. And this is how you're supposed to debate. It's supposed to be respectful debate. Now, if anybody online who's watching would like to do the same thing, you know, and, you know, challenge, you can have challenge on the panel, you know what I mean, to have your opinions rectified on Community Debate Live, you're more than welcome to do that, because sometimes when you have dialogue, it's so much better to do it that way. But yes, I think this should be the end of the show now. We've run on for quite a long time and it's now 11:30. So I shall see you guys next week. Thank you so much for checking in. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your support.
Bye.
See you guys next week, Thursday.
See you later, everyone.
Good show, Rachel. Really enjoyed it.
Positivity.
Really proud of you.
Thank you so much, Auntie. Rest in peace, DMX.
No matter how many tears your mom's cry, bring your ass back, plus in hell you gon' cry. Why? Now the only two relevant questions is if we bury him or burn. Any suggestions? Either way, you up out of here for good. Now when niggas mention your name, they knocking on wood.
Hey. See you next